We are live. Welcome to the grand final edition of Talking Footy, and we have a couple of special guests who are raring to go. We've got the memo, woohoo, yippity dippity doo, and we've got Russ now. Now, I met up with Russ today, and he was just fuming. I said, Russ, what's the matter? And he was not happy about a lot of things. He just was not happy about this, not happy about that. He was visibly upset at it. He just couldn't contain his rage. So we're gonna go straight into Russo's Rager. Here it is.
Starte das Spiel, du Hurensohn des
Now, before I start the race now, I'm not mad at Ash Barty. I'm mad at the Richmond Footy Club. Now, obviously, two teams that are in the grand final, the teams get to pick who they want to present the Premiership Cup. So Geelong was smart enough to choose an AFL legend, someone who's played for the club. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was a legend of the Geelong Footy Club. Richmond come out with this stupid memo saying that they've picked a tennis player to present the Premiership Cup. Now, I don't understand this. She has no affiliation with football. She's obviously a good tennis player. Good on her. I'm happy for her. She's won at Open. I can't even remember what Open it was, but good on her for that. But no one wants you presenting the Premiership Cup on grand final day. As Brendan Favola said, you're an AFL supporter. You're like a cheer squad member. Number one ticket holder of the women's team, Matty. Thanks for that advice. We don't care about that as well. We do not care. Get a footy player to present it. No one cares about Ash Barty in the footy world. That's like Dustin Martin presenting the Australian Open Cup or whatever they give to Ash Barty. We don't want to see that. Have people in your sport. Oh, it's just very frustrating. Footy club.
Well, look, can I just say that I would actually love to see Dusty presenting the Oz Open trophy. Like that would just be the most hilariously awkward thing ever.
Yeah, look, very questionable. Very, very questionable. Oh, we love that, Russ. We love that.
Yeah, we do love it. All righty, now it's time to introduce our first guest on the Talking Footy Show. He's never been on the Talking Footy Show before. He's one of my best mates from Refig. He's a bit of an arrogant Collingwood supporter. Likes to comment a lot on Facebook statuses. It's the big Liam. Welcome, Liam.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I've been really itching to get on, so it's good to finally be on for the big dance.
Good to hear, mate. We
love that.
We
good
rate
to
that
have you
on your evening, mate, to come on and have a chat to us, mate. We love and adore that, mate. So yeah, mate, Pies supporter, mate. What are your thoughts on the Pies season?
Yeah, look, just firstly, Russ, I just have to completely agree with that. I was actually distraught, to be honest, when I heard the news about Ash Barty presenting the cup. But, it sort of just gave me more reasons to hope that the Tigers don't win this week. But look, on the Pies, I was pretty disappointed to hear that some people have graded the season to be like a D. I think that considering everything that happened with the hub and that, and obviously losing Howe, Sidebottom, I think to make finals and then get that big win against West Coast, I think we had a pretty past season. Obviously, it wasn't great coming into the season being premiership favourites and then only just making the 8 was a bit disappointing. But this year's been a bit crazy, so I was okay with the season.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Yeah, I agree with that. You had a lot of injuries throughout the season. You obviously had the controversy of Jordan DeGoey as well. What do you reckon about DeGoey, mate? Is he going to sign on? Is he going to stay? How much money do you think he's worth as well?
Yeah. It's a good question. I think he'll stay. I think we went through the same thing when he probably kicked about 12 goals in 3 weeks in the 2018 finals series. They were talking he's going to be $1 million. 22-year-old kicking bags. Was absolutely dominating. I was a bit of a fanboy myself, so I can't see him going. I'd be very disappointed if he did go. I think guys like Matthew Lloyd, I've got a lot of respect for Matthew Lloyd, and he sort of came out and said that your best finish in the BNF is 8th. He's not worth anywhere near $1 million. He's only worth 500K or whatever. Look, to a degree, I say I agree, but I'd also disagree because he's not a player that's going to poll massive votes in a BNF, and he's also not a player that's going to because he's only getting max 15 touches, right? And he's also not a player that can play 22 games a season. Like we've seen him only play about maximum 18 games a season, and he made the AA squad. So when he's fit, he's definitely worth the big bucks. I'd probably say he's worth, due to COVID, probably about 750 to 800K, 850 max, about the same as Darcy Moore, I'd say. He's got that match winning ability, but I wouldn't be spending $1 million on him. But then again, like I wouldn't be lowballing him below 700. So I think he's a very valuable player, and he's definitely a potential top 10 player in the comp if he can get his body right.
Yeah, of course. He's definitely that X factor, like we've seen. We even saw in the West Coast game in that final. He really lit it up and helped you guys get over the line. So
yeah, exactly.
Definitely a player that, for sure, a player that you want to keep, mate.
Only had the 9 touches, but really big impact player.
Yeah, exactly right. If he gets his 15 touches, he almost gets votes. So
yeah, exactly. Because he'll kick he'll not only kick, some weeks, like for example this year against Geelong and Gold Coast, he kicked bags of 5 and 4, and he'll get a fair bit of the ball. But then the games against like West Coast and that, he'll kick those 2 goals, but it won't be like the over the top. It'll be like those 2 sort of miraculous goals. Like it might be just out of a stoppage. You just feel like no one sees it coming. And he's sort of done that the last few years, where he'll just kick goals out of nowhere, which I think that's probably his most valuable asset. Just sort of like genuine knack to kick a goal just out of nowhere when your team really needs it.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, that's exactly right. No, I actually agree with you. I think he's an important player. He should stay. Now, moving on. Last quick question, just regarding Adam Treloar. There's been some people are saying he's going, some people are saying he's staying. Like it's all over the place at the moment. So, yeah, what do you think as a Pies supporter? Do you think he's got to stay? Do you think he's got to go? Like, do you listen to all the noise, or do you just sort of ignore it?
Yeah, look, I think he's 100% staying. I absolutely in no world can see him leaving. He loves the club, absolutely adores the club. He's got 5 years left on a big deal. He picked us over Richmond, and I think it was just Robbo and Jared sort of putting a bit of, trying to get a bit of a story up because they saw his wife was moving, but like his wife's moving on a 10-month netball contract, which is probably worth about 10 grand. And he's on a 5-year deal that's got about 700K attached to each year. So I don't think he'll be moving anywhere anytime soon. I think that was just a good story.
Yeah, mate. Very, very good call. And we'll also just touch on your hate for Richmond, mate. We all don't like Richmond in this chat. Yeah. And we all know you don't like it either, mate. We've seen you like to have a lot of banter on Facebook, mate. So tell us about your hatred for the Tigers supporters.
Yeah, look, just the bandwagon. Honestly, you look at your 2016 Tigers. They wanted Hardwick's head. I was listening. There's a clip you can find it on Triple M. It's about this. There's this famous Richmond supporter that called up and actually he microwaved his membership and that live on air. And he's actually burst into tears. I can't remember who it was. I think it was it might have been Gary Lyon or something. And they took his call and they actually started crying and laughter because the guy was like, he was so genuinely upset. And that was when they only had about 70K members. And now all of a sudden the next year, they play some decent footy and they get 30,000 members out of nowhere.
Pull 30 out of their ass.
They think they're the best club of all time, and that look, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. If they win this week, it's definitely a dynasty. But ever since we lost a couple times to them in 2018, and they thought they were the best. They were going back to back, and then Mason Cox,
we all share a lot of love for the big American. I absolutely adore you, mate. For that final, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, no, he's a big.
I will never forget his final against Eagles as well, mate. It was just amazing.
Yeah, big listener of the podcast. I've heard, big listener. But awesome. I just the cockiness. I can't stand it, to be honest. Can't stand it.
I agree.
Yeah, mate, we've all shared our hatred. We all definitely agree with you. All right, now moving on to our next guest, Jerry. Get him up for us, mate.
He is raring to go. A bit of a bull on parade. He has just had enough. He's going to burst through the packs like Dustin Martin. He's got his own segment on the show. First of all, he comes on debut and he's got his own segment. And I believe he's got his own sort of music to go with that. So we'll see how that goes. But one of the great men, a very witty man. He's calling his time coming on here, a bit of a marmalade sort of stylings. But a great friend of ours, and he's going to come on and cause an absolute fucking havoc. We welcome the big MSG, Matty Gileri.
Thanks, everyone. No, please hold your applause. I'll be here all night.
Yes.
Hi, guys. I'm Matty G. I'm a mad Essendon supporter, and with that comes all the pent-up rage of the last 20 years since we were good. So we'll get straight into it. I've come prepared with a holy document, a sacred text.
Can I butt in, Matty? What's the number on the back of your jersey?
I don't want to talk about it. It's been a rough year for everyone. But keep that in mind as I present to you my segment, the holy text, the Quran of talking footy. This is the talking shit list. Over the year, I've put together 20 individuals or groups of individuals who have really grinded my gears. These are the individuals or groups that have made my shit list. Tom Hawkins. Tom Hawkins is the worst Coleman medalist we have ever seen. This is a man who can kick the most goals in a season, yet cannot finish Port Adelaide in a qualifying final. Kicks 0-6, one out of bounds on the full. Fair enough. He had a decent prelim, didn't he? Well, he kicked a couple of goals, but how many opportunities did he have to ice the game when he missed? Couldn't deliver. If we look historically, every single time this man has had a kick after the siren to win or tie the game, he's not won. I think Tom Hawkins is Levi Casbolt plus 30%. What are your thoughts?
That's amazing. That's amazing. What a ripper start. Thanks, Matty G.
I think Jack Rewald
amazing.
was Coleman as well. I think he's in that company, the Jack Rewald and Tom Hawkins.
Actually, I don't mind Jack Rewald, and I rate Jack Rewald. I think he gets up the ground well. But Tom Hawkins, what does he do? He sits there, takes marks, and doesn't kick goals.
So would your opinion be that in a shit team, he would just be like very, very bad? So he's only good because he's in a good team. He's only half decent because he's in a good side?
Mate, if he didn't play for a side that had a midfield with a combined worth of 5.5 million, he'd be absolute dog shit.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. Yeah, fair call, mate.
Put him in our team. Put him in the Essendon Football Club forward line and see how many goals he kicks for the year.
Probably
0.
It's an interesting one. Like, I actually rate a couple of those points. I feel like the Casbolt comment was a little bit uncalled for. Feel like he's worth a bit more than that, but the rest of it, I can kind of understand.
Nah, see, he's just saying that because Levi Casbolt's that good. That's the point he's saying.
Okay, no, and the point I want to make, Levi Casbolt has one thing going for his game. As a Carlton supporter, I'm sure you can pick that, Russ. What do you think it is?
Yeah, he can mark the ball.
He can mark the pill, right? He's got a good set of mitts on him. But that's it. And Tom Hawkins, he doesn't have much more than that.
Hey, just saying, Levi Casbolt got 2 votes this year at the Brownlow. First time he's ever got Brownlow votes. Good on Levi Casbolt. Legend.
Well done, Levi. Friend of the show. We love him.
Friend of the show. We love him. Yes, we do.
Moving on. Item number 2 on my shit list. Port Adelaide supporters. What we saw on the weekend, absolutely shocking.
Australia of the year.
Tom Lynch, right?
Australia of the year.
Agreed shit bloke, right? No one's going to argue otherwise. But you can't throw a drink on him. That's just not Australian. We don't love that. That's not talking footy.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the bloody guy's paid $10 and wasted his drink. Like, why would you want to waste your drink on Tom Lynch?
And this is the thing here. What's the true crime? Is the true crime wasting a $12 mid-strength beer at the footy?
That is a huge crime. That is alcohol there, just the other drain.
Number 3 on my shit list, a personal favourite of mine, the Essendon Football Club.
Oh, how
let me down.
This was coming.
Let all of us down, and I'm not happy. This is all I've got to say on the matter, but you need to do better.
Little win today, mini win with Caldwell.
That's great. We've successfully poached a 20-year-old that's played 9 senior AFL games. I'm really pleased with it. Should be good. Time will tell how that works out. But I think the club has managed things quite poorly for the last couple of years, and hopefully this marks a turnaround.
Well, the question is, why do you still have Adrian Dodoro or whatever his name is? Sounds like a bloody bird.
I'll remind you that I haven't finished my shit list yet. He may or may not make an appearance.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Next on the list, Sauce Silvani. The man who has 2 A-grade sons. Did I say A-grade? I meant D-grade. Silvani, recently in the media. What's he been saying? He's been there's a lot of words, a lot of talking, right? he thinks that he's been a little bit hard done by the Carlton Footy Club here. He's saying that, the situation was complicated by having my two sons there. He doesn't agree with that statement. He doesn't think it was complicated by the fact that the only reason that Jack Silvani played more than 5 senior AFL games was because his old man was the list manager. And I just think that he cares more about Sauce cares more about Sauce than anything else. Right? That's number one on his list. He wants to preserve and enhance his legacy. And I don't think he really cares for the Carlton Footy Club. So good on the Carlton Footy Club for getting rid of him. I don't think he had a place there anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we may as well just quickly touch on this now. What is everyone's actually thoughts on Stephen Silvani's list manager? Do we agree with those calls? What Matty just said? What do we think?
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Absolutely.
It's a conflict of interest. It's pretty clear. You got his two sons, and we've seen this year Ben Silvani was the listed. Fun fact, actually, Ben Silvani hit up my missus once, but
she's taken you over him.
Not a friend of the show.
Well, you can't hit up
not a friend of the show. He actually DM'd my missus, but besides that, we've seen that he was delisted this year, which is, I guess it's interesting because I think if he was still in the job, you would have definitely seen him being offered a 1 or 2 year deal. So it's just those kind of things that, the heavy, especially people that are in list managing jobs, you need to be completely free of bias. So I think that it was definitely a good call.
You've got to be impartial, I think. And when your son's on the list, like, it doesn't matter who you are, it's going to be a conflict of interest. Like, you can try to separate yourself from that as much as you can, but at the end of the day, it's your blood, it's your son. You can't. It just doesn't work that way. It's like when I was playing in under-12s basketball and Anthony's dad was our coach. And, who do you think got all the minutes, right?
Yes. Yeah. No coach in the world.
Moving on. The Adelaide Football Club.
Oh,
Now,
boy.
if I thought I was disappointed by Essendon, I'm counting my blessings that I'm not an Adelaide Football Club supporter. A basket case ever since the 2017 grand final. What happened in that preseason camp? That's what I want to know. What actually happened? I would pay money to be a fly on the wall there because something changed. The whole group, they shifted. Everyone wants out. It's an absolute mess. Talk to me about it. What's going on there, guys? Because it's not good.
No,
Yeah,
it's not
so
good.
like all the rumors and like the articles that came out, it seems like, they were using some pretty hardcore, almost like, semi-military type of tactics to sort of like, break them down as individuals and bring them up as a team that just really blew up in their face. And it's just not something that's appropriate for a football team where, it's supposed to be like this great environment where, you all connect as players and you can trust each other and carry, that relationship onto the field so that, like, when you're in high pressure and clutch moments, you're actually able to perform. And yeah, whatever the hell happened at that preseason camp has just absolutely fucked them.
Apparently,
this year, though. Sorry, go on, Ben. All good.
Apparently, the most clutchest thing they did was the 2017 grand final standoff.
Yeah, that works really well.
Yep.
Well, it's a power stance, but if we look at where they are on the power rankings, it's not very good.
Yeah.
I want to just chime in for a second and I want to pose a question here because I think I know my answer, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. At this point in time, I would actually rather be the Adelaide Footy Club compared to the Essendon Football Club for a future standpoint. Because I reckon Adelaide have got they've got many better young players, in my opinion, compared to Essendon. Yeah. I think they've got a lot of middle-aged to older players, Essendon, whereas Adelaide have got some good players that they've picked. I know Lockie Scholl, I played footy with him at the Calder Cannons. He was a really beautiful kick of the ball. We've seen him get Brownlow votes and a Rising Star nomination, was picked in the 4th round this year. He looks like he'll be a future A grader. And, they've just picked out, these young guys. They've got Schoenberg, who's another great young bull who'll be there for a long time. They've got a lot of good young players. They've got Elliot Himmelberg, who's also developing into a nice key forward this year, had a good game against Collingwood and a few other games this year. I just think when I compare the young players of Essendon to Adelaide, I can just see them having better careers, but I'd like to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, that's a fair call. Yeah, I think like Adelaide started this year like trying to fix their culture, and they're doing a pretty good job. Like they're getting better. Like they've brought in Matty Nix there as a coach. Yeah, they all seem to love him. Like I know they played really, really shit in the first half of the year, but you could just see like sort of once they got that confidence and got on a little bit of a run, like they actually bet the Giants and they bet the Blues, who aren't terrible teams. Like you wouldn't expect Adelaide to beat those teams when you see them on form in the first half of the year. So yeah, they definitely improved, which is good to see. And yeah, as you said about Essendon, they've got a lot of those middle tier players who they're probably not going to ever improve. Whereas at least Adelaide have a lot of room for growth, which is a good side. Like they might not overtake Essendon this year, but if Essendon don't draft well in the coming years, Adelaide could definitely overtake it for sure.
Yeah, I've got another quick question, just on that little follow up with Essendon and Adelaide. Like, I'm just trying. I find a question that's really good to determine where a list is at. Of if you go through every single player on a list and you tick yes or no for a question, the question is, would this player get a game on any other list in the AFL?
Yeah,
and
true.
I reckon Essendon has got a few of those players that really wouldn't get a game on another. Just a few guys that I just couldn't see getting games on other AFL lists. And I feel like that's a really good indication of a list. North Melbourne was very similar. That's why they delisted about 12 players. Because they had guys where you could just go, these guys are not up to AFL standard. Like they're not getting a game on another list.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
What do you reckon, Jez?
Yeah, I think it's like Liam, you've been up some really good points in regards to all this sort of stuff. I'm interested in who you reckon on the Essendon list wouldn't get a game at another club. Like, who do you think personally?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Well, I'll pull the list up here just so I can get a better look at it. Just off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. Although they listed a few guys this year who I thought were a bit stiff. Actually, I thought guys like McKernan. I thought he was a bit stiff to get delisted. To be honest,
Agreed.
Yeah. Especially when they got no forward line.
Well, I just don't. I can't name a forward that we have that is better than McKernan. And say what you will about McKernan, he's no. Well, I mean, maybe he's a Tom Hawkins, but he's no Jack Rewald. He's no Jeremy Cameron. But you know, he's performing better than every other forward that we have. So I don't see why you would delist a player of that caliber.
Yeah,
We've got nothing to replace him with.
Got a guy like James Stewart who had a really good last month or two.
Yeah.
He was kicking balls, which was good because, you know, I think he's always had a bit of talent. I've always been a bit of a James Stewart fan. A guy like Jaden Laverty, for example, if he's playing in your round 18 side and then getting delisted a few days later, that confuses me. Like, if you're not gonna have him on the list next year, for example, you're not making finals. Why not have a guy like can't remember his name now. He was at Calder Cannons as well. He was drafted by Essendon in the first or second round last year as a key forward. Harry Jones, I think. And he was drafted and he didn't get a game this year. I thought he could have gone through. A guy like Mason Redmond, I don't think is very good. Marty Gleeson, I don't think is up to standard. I think Jordan Ridley's a gun. Just those kind of guys that I'm just looking at the team that played in round 18. And then I'm sure there are a few players that were off the list that weren't in the team that didn't get a game that could maybe, be 50-50. But it just confuses me also when you delist a player that plays in your best 22.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah.
So my thought process there, and I could be proven wrong, but we look at the rookie draft that occurs the next year, and I think that historically you see a lot of players that are sort of on the cusp get delisted and then picked up. Like Laverty doesn't even in the team in round 18 if.
Yeah.
It's not that fine a line between selection and being dropped off the list entirely. So I'd be asking the question, well, where is your bottom line then if that's the decision?
Yeah, 100% agree.
Moving on. Next item on the shit list, I've got Mr. and Mrs. Cochin.
Yes. Thank you.
I don't feel like I need to say a lot here. Furthermore, if I say too much, I'll definitely incriminate myself. But what are your thoughts on the hub behaviour and the sense of entitlement that we're seeing from some of these prominent players and the respective wags?
Yeah, I mean, we've already touched on this quite. I think we touched on it in like a few previous podcasts. It's just a lot of AFL players and wives also made a lot of mistakes. They're obviously not. They're very privileged, and it's a lot about them. They don't really think of sometimes, especially the wives. I'm guessing, especially like her, she didn't think of the consequences and the effect that it could actually have on.
Oh, but she had to get her nails done, so it's fine. She had to. She couldn't not. She couldn't not. She was in the hub on her own. How could she not get her nails done?
I know, yeah, it's ridiculous. And, I'm sure many other people, like many other players and wags and all that, did stuff as well that just, like, luckily got covered up. Like, it's just ridiculous, I think. But, Yeah, glad all that's over now. And
Let's,
hopefully we have a normal season.
Yeah.
Let's go to Chloe. I want to know Chloe's thoughts on that.
On this one, yeah. Look, I completely agree. I think the frustrating thing was, for me was, I guess as a female, I feel like don't get me wrong, Koch's wife absolutely did the wrong thing, and my blood, if we could show you the screenshots of the Talkin' Footy group chat from when that first happened, I was going off because the wives and girlfriends, yes, they, should be able to lead their own lives and do whatever they want, but you are literally in a resort in Queensland getting everything paid for because your husband's an excellent athlete. How can you not recognize the privilege there? I absolutely fucking lost it when I saw that. It just puts such a bad name on all the wags and just feeds into that stereotype that they're all airy fairy and oh no, we do what we want, we can, oh yeah, it just made my blood boil, seriously. But one thing I will say though is I feel like Cochin's wife almost copped it worse than when all these other boys went out on bendares and were in brawls on strip clubs. That is the one thing I think I will point out and say that probably was not fair.
And this is what I hate. The whole idea of it was a girl that did it. That's shocking. Let's shame.
Yeah.
And what she did was wrong, and I agree. And I'll pay her out completely about that. I will not hold back. But I don't agree with this whole doing that on one hand, and the other hand, no, boys will be boys. No, it's just not good.
Well, yeah. I think with that as well, it was a bit of boys will be boys, but also they got caned for it. They got pretty sort of, not to the extent I guess of I think her name's Brooke Koch or something like that. But
yeah,
people lost their jobs because of what Sydney Stack, I think Coleman Jones, I think it was what they did. So it's also serious in the sense of what they did it just can't be tolerated. And I think what I saw, a lot of people went hard on those guys as well. I just think I think people up there were just a bit sort of murky. I just don't think so. They just were very, very entitled, very me, their sort of stuff. So
a lot of me time going on.
A lot of me time.
Yeah, nice. Completely agree with you, mate. Moving on, I've got a few quick fire mentions of the shit list. Obviously, in regards to that last one, Mr. and Mrs. Cochin, we do have one honourable mention. That's Mrs. Higgins. Jack's girlfriend. Now, we don't have to go into this. Wait until your partner plays more than 100 games at a senior level before you start opening your mouth, I think. No, completely disagree with everything that she said. And from all accounts, the Bulldogs were completely fine. And I just think you just put the brakes on there.
Get your mate to actually make the 22, and then you could complain first.
Well, exactly right. Quick mention here. Mark Rashudo has made an appearance on the shit list. I don't need to mention why. All you need to do is go on the media, go on Google, type Mark Rashudo, read any one of the last 20 articles, and then just laugh to yourself. What the sure, mate, you could kick the pill and you're a pretty good player, but just what's happened since then? You just got such a warped sense. No, your club's a complete basket case, and this is coming from an Essendon supporter.
Yeah, I can't stand him on Adelaide games, to be honest. It's as if Eddie Maguire is commentating a Collingwood game. It just doesn't. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
analogy.
Very biased.
Same as Luke Hodge as well. I don't rate Luke Hodge on Brisbane games as well. It's the same concept.
I rate Das
games, to be honest, because I think he adds something. He knows the players personally.
Yeah, true.
Exactly. That's what I've said the whole time. Luke Hodge actually has a clue when you got blokes like Jonathan Brown, Nick Rewalt, Matthew Richardson.
Daisy Pearce, mate. Don't even get me started about Daisy
Pearce.
No.
Oh no.
Hey, let's pump the brakes on there.
We've had many discussions about Daisy Pearce.
We are not.
Yeah.
Okay.
All I'll say is she's gotten better this year.
I think I'm the only one that actually rates her. I actually don't mind her.
Yeah, I do not rate her.
Yeah, no,
I
rate her more than Abby Holmes. I don't like Abby Holmes, but a lot of people do.
In the most non-sexist way, when you're a female AFL player and you've played about 12 AFLW games, it's hard for you to provide special comments on an AFL preliminary final saying a young player is getting pressured. How would you know? I'm just sorry, but Abby Holmes is a perfect example of what a female boundary commentator should, or a female commentator in general should be like. She calls it like she sees it. She doesn't try and infer things, and like I don't really know how to say it, but it's just like when you have Daisy Pearce compared to someone like Luke Hodge, who's won multiple premierships, multiple Norm Smith, all Australian, all that stuff, it's just completely different. Like I don't really know how else to say it.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
yeah,
fully
agree with you, mate.
Yeah, look, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, we have to start somewhere, don't we? I mean, like, she's there because, like, yeah, she's a good player. Like, no, she hasn't played in finals, and obviously she's not going to give the same level of expertise. But you're going to be on YouTube.
I am. And fan of the show.
You love it. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Loves the pod.
Hey, she's a Geelong supporter. Hang on, come back here.
Listens every week.
Yeah. She's bolted.
I love it. I love everything about this.
Nice,
Moving on.
Matty, what do we got?
Hawthorn delisting Jackson Ross. Now, I won't go into this in too much.
Let me finish my point first. So Daisy Pearce, yes, obviously doesn't have the same amount of experience as what's it called? Like, like someone like Hodge, but we have to start somewhere. Like, we can't keep having, we can't keep pushing for like, AFL and AFLW integration sort of thing if we don't start somewhere. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, why can't the women like start in VFL though and work their way up? Like if the men are better at the analysis, why can't they learn in the VFL first and then
just chuck them on Freo games?
Just throw them in straight away.
Freos. Up the Freos.
Well, I was going to say, because it's...
No, but like you need the representation. That's why, Rotho. It'll be like, like I said,
yeah, it's
just start somewhere.
It's good to hear from a female on the matter. And just quickly, because I know we have to move on. But I feel like it's a bit similar with the female umpire, Eleni Igufsis. I think it's
yeah.
I think that she's probably the worst umpire in the AFL, but I think because she is female, she's had those advances through because they wanted to get her through. Like she does like she could actually teach Razor could actually teach her how to bounce the ball, which is insane.
I think that's honestly a fair point. Like, I was like awful. I'm like, yeah, cool female umpire, but then I'm like, oh sweetheart, like she just can't bounce it properly. And I'm like, okay, when like you're physically unable to do the job, then I'm like, all right, maybe we need to like talk about a change of strategy. But like commentating, I mean, like look at us, like, any old Tom, Dick and Harry or like, Chloe can jump on and, give a couple of opinions. So yeah, so I'm all for Daisy's like, starting somewhere, and she's gotten a lot better this year, and I'm sure she'll, continue to get better as she goes along.
That's it.
Oh my god,
we love
made
that.
a reappearance.
We love that.
Get the ugly face on here then.
All right, moving on to the next item on the shit list,
continue.
guys. We have got Hawthorn delisting Jackson Ross. Now, this is something that Beej could talk to a little bit. I don't like this move at all. Talk to me about it, Ben. Why don't we like this?
Yeah, I'll touch on it pretty quickly. He's been the leading goal kicker at Box Hill for the last 2 years, and yet we're playing blokes like Paul Puopolo that hasn't touched the ball in 4 years. So, no idea why we delisted him. I was saying a few weeks back that same thing happened with Ed Kerner a few years ago. He won the Liston medal in the VFL, and we didn't pick him up, and he went to Carlton. He's been a good player for them. So, yeah.
You got to keep an eye on that talent there that's sitting in your second string in your VFL. And I think that this is a player that there's definitely some future planning, and you sort of slot him into your list. He's a nice size. He's a good kick of the footy. Why would you delist him? Moving on from this, another player that has really grinded my gears in recent times. You know him as the number on my back, number 6, Mr. Joe Danaher. I don't like this. I really don't like this. Now, I don't think Essendon handled the situation as they should have, but I also don't think that Joe Danaher handled the situation as he should have. I mean, if he knew he was going to leave, it should have made it very, very clear from day one, and that should have been the continuous message the whole way through. I feel like what's happened here between Essendon and Joe Danaher is a very messy breakup where they kind of want each other and they kind of don't. And I just think that the way that it's played out is just appalling.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it was like, I don't know why Danaher just didn't tell the club straight after the season. Not sure why they had to drag on a few weeks, but yeah, he's shipping off to Brisbane now. So yeah, good luck to him. Hopefully he can get his body right.
And this is it. When he plays us, he'll kick 10 against us, and I accept that. He won't play any more games than that. But look, whole situation's played out poorly, and wish him all the best, but not happy about how this has played out.
I think you guys should have let him go at the end of last year as well. He wanted to go to Sydney, and you guys sort of tied him down, which I don't agree with, because I think that if he wants to leave, why would you want to keep a player that doesn't want to be at the club? You want to change the mentality of the footy club, because people think, Lloydie has said, one of your legends, there's a bad mentality. You'd want to probably have players that want to actually be there, I thought.
You're spot on, mate. You're spot on. And the reason that he stayed there, we will get to in a couple names' time on the shit list. It does make an appearance, and I think we all know the person we're talking about here. Moving on, we got Grimes from Richmond. Talk to me, guys. I don't like taking a dive, playing for the free kick. We've seen a lot of that this year. Don't rate it at all. What are your thoughts?
He's the biggest diver in the game right now.
Mm.
It's terrible. It's terrible to watch. I watch footy with my old man, and obviously he's been watching footy for years. So to see it's gone from this rough and tough thing that people are acting for free kicks, it's disgusting. I hate it. Don't get it.
2 more and he'll be eligible for an Olympic medal.
He's already won gold, so.
Wow, and this is it. So we don't love that. Any footy players out there, friends of the show listening, just please, none of that. Play the hard ball. Don't play for the free kick. We don't like that.
Just for the AFL as well. Big listener, Gil, I heard. And the fact that, Michael Christian, I should say, big listener, Michael Christian. Pies man as well, just if you guys didn't know, he's a pies man. But the fact that they actually, they were fined by Michael Christian, Grimesy and Vlosten, and then they were cleared. So, the AFL's got to, they've got to take a stance. If you find a player and then all of a sudden you're clearing it, you're saying that it's okay, which I disagree with. The AFL's got to say, no, it's not okay.
Yeah, fully agree with you, mate. Fully agree. Moving on, Jake Stringer coming into the season overweight, fat. Don't like throwing these words around, but have a look at that man in that jersey. That looks like me trying to whack on a size small one of these. It doesn't look pretty. I don't like it. I don't think that he's put in the proper preseason. And I've said this from day one. Jake Stringer, while he's a great player and he's got a lot of potential, he's a sort of bloke where you can't leave him to work on his own. You need to be on his back constantly. You need to be pushing him to make him better. I think he's an all or nothing sort of player.
Looks like Stewie Jew from the 08 Grand Final.
Oh, looks like Stewie Jew now.
I've noticed that.
Moving on, a previous mention in the list. Why did Joe Danaher stay? Well, he stayed because of this man, Das, Adrian Dodoro. I don't like him. Get him out of the footy club. His time is done.
Rate it highly. I said to
no arguments.
I said to the group a little while ago in the group chat. I came downstairs after something happened with Essendon. The old man just turns around and said, "Why the heck is Adrian Dodoro still at Essendon?" I was there. I was crying in laughter. So funny.
He's no good, and I hope we make a move in the off season and he's out of there, because I just can't see it working long term. It's not working now. It hasn't worked in the last few years. It's not going to work in the future.
Yeah.
Next up on the shit list is the 13 remaining players on North Melbourne's list. Talk to me. They delisted a lot of players. How are they looking for the future? I don't like what I'm seeing out of North Melbourne. Now, everything going on with Reece Shaw as a coach, put that to the side. Very, very sorry about all of that happening. But I'm talking about the list specifically here. What's going on there? What prompts such a huge shift?
I mean, in a way, it could be smart. In a way, it could be dumb. Like, they've obviously recognised that they're not going to win a flag, like, in the next probably 3 or 4 years. So they need to do a big list card, a big rebuild. But at the same time, you can't be shopping superstar players around like Ben Brown. Like, for me, that was obviously the poorest choice. Like, everyone else they listed, you could probably justify and understand why, because they're just sort of mediocre players and they know they're not going to take them any further. But yeah, North Melbourne's obviously a club that's got not a lot of money and not a lot of good players. So yeah, they're going to really struggle in the next probably 4 or 5 years. They're going to have to obviously go through the draft and hope they can keep those players and build a list around that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I just think it's such a huge decision. It appears to me as very all or nothing. So we'll see how that plays out. Next on the list, we've got Lance Franklin. This year has probably made the easiest $2 million that anyone will ever make. Talk to me about it, Ben. He used to play for your club, the Hawks. What do you reckon?
It's for the AFL. It's actually shit not seeing him out there. He's just such a dominant player. It's just, it is actually shit. And the fact that talks are up and about him retiring isn't, isn't good. He hasn't played a lot of footy over the last few years. He actually probably hasn't played a lot of good footy since he left Hawthorn. So,
Yeah, fully agree.
yeah, easy as 2 million, but you'd rather obviously see him out on the track because he's such a talented player.
All Australian captain 2018. Let's not forget that.
That's all right.
All
He
right.
hasn't won a flag
So-
since he left Hawthorn.
Yeah, it's true.
I've got one here. The next item on the shit list. This one is for my man, Jeremy Borzillo. What we have is the umpiring, the state of the game. A lot of people not happy about this. What is a free kick? What's prior opportunity? What's not? What's holding the ball? No one knows. Talk to me.
I think they need to sit them all in a room and actually tell them what is a free kick and what is not a free kick. I think it's been fucking deplorable. Like, the fact is, like, they're all... The interpretation of what is holding the ball was determined, like in the off season, for example. And the fact is the media as well has contributed to it as well by saying, well, this should be it, this should be it, this should be it. Just everyone get in the room, go through a presentation. This is what it is. This is what it not is, or this is what it isn't. Sorry, bad English, and just go from there. That's all I've got to say about it.
I like it, Jez, and fully agree with you, mate. They need to get on board. I think for the next season, they need to get them all in a room. They need to work out what the hell is going on, and they just need to proceed consistently. And
Exactly.
I think that's the
And
problem that we all have is the consistency.
Exactly. And please do not go out there and change any more rules. Just leave the game and just fix the
rules.
umpire
Stop the rules.
interpretations.
That's
it.
That's
A
it.
lot of
Okay.
this is common sense stuff. It's not that hard. Fix that and move on. We don't want to see rule changes.
Change the
Oh,
quarters.
mate, spot on.
They need to be
Next
able to-
item. I know this is something that's grinding closed gears. I want you to talk to me about this. The MRO. It's a joke. Tell me about it. What's been happening?
What has it been?
It's exhausting. Yeah, look, I mean, like, honestly, I feel like anyone could just toss a coin and have a guess at what they're doing from week to week. It's an absolute joke. It's exhausting. The way that they interpret the rules is extremely inconsistent. Yeah, the way they interpret the rules is extremely consistent. I think especially when it comes to anything around head injuries and concussion. So we chatted about it a little bit the other week. But basically, they really need to get down pat how exactly they're analysing incidents and how that's going to affect sanctions. I think it's not good to rely solely on the victim, for lack of a better word, on how, you know, a player cops like a knock to their head or something. So if they're concussed, it's automatically worse. If they're not, then it's fine. Yeah, they really need to get their shit sorted, I think.
Fully agree with you there, Chloe. We don't like it. We hope that it gets fixed up. We need some standardization across the board there. I hope things improve, but not looking optimistic. Next item on the shit list, Elijah Taylor. Russo, talk to me. Why don't we like this?
Yeah, we don't love that. Disrespected females. Yeah, we really don't like that. We've chatted about this before. Yeah, no good. Interested to see where it will go from here, if he'll go to jail or not. Obviously, never going to play AFL again. And yeah, not a very good look for the game and for the young kids that are going through. And also for the Indigenous community, it's not a good look.
Yeah, look, I don't like this. And I think you can draw a parallel between different generations. And I'll get into this in a minute. But Wayne Carey, for example, right? How's it different? Why is that okay? Why is this not okay? Look, you can open up that kettle of fish. I think it's a big issue, and I think we need to stamp it out right here and there. Regardless of whether Wayne Carey's still on or not, I think that the way that the AFL and the clubs are proceeding this, you know, as soon as something like this has popped up, you squash it out, you get rid of him. There's no place in the game.
Yeah,
for
especially
people
when
like this now.
he's pleaded guilty and his girlfriend's also literally posted photos on Instagram of her bruises. So it was pretty...
Yeah, it's a bad look.
So,
It's a bad look for the game, and I think that the AFL and the club have handled this well. But yeah, not good. We don't love that. Next item, I know this is something that Liam has a bit to say about. Tom Lynch, the Australian Kevin Durant. Talk to me, Liam.
Yeah.
Not only is he a little bit dirty, but he went to the one club that had the shortest odds of winning the next flag. I don't like this, and this is free agency nowadays in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, he had the decision, Richmond or Collingwood. He picked Richmond, fair enough. I'd probably go to the reigning premiers too. But, yeah, look, the caption here is the Tigers were just too good for the Saints, but Tom Lynch could be in some trouble for this cheap shot. I've read it about 8 times this year, and I actually captioned it. Call me a what's the word? person that can, tell the future or whatever. But I said, nah, just another $500 fine. And what do you know? He was fined. And I've got about 8 here. This is a good one here. If you search up flog on the internet, and that's what actually comes up. Stuff like that, because he's just, the cheap shots I don't like, and I really don't like Hardwick protecting the cheap shots either. You play footy the hard way, fair enough. If you bump someone and you accidentally clip them high, but if you're going at the footy, then definitely you can condone that. But there's cheap shots when you're kneeing a guy in the back of the head, you're throwing a guy, you're pushing Alex Witherden's head into the turf. Definitely not a big fan of that at all.
It's no good. It's not a good look for the game, and we don't like that here at Talking Footy. Next item on the agenda, the shit list, number 19, 2 to go. Everyone who had a COVID breach in the bubble. Talk to me about this, guys. What is this? Why don't we love it? What have they done wrong? They've got one job. They're getting paid a lot of money to play footy, and the rest of us down here in Melbourne, the football state, we're locked in our houses.
You sum it up pretty well just there. They're pretty selfish. Like, you're getting paid to play AFL footy, you're getting paid to play a sport. Like, all of us are trying to work our asses off getting money, where you're getting money pretty much handed to you for breaching COVID rules. So it is frustrating, but
it's disappointing.
It's
and
disappointing to see.
Seeing it from a lot of the older guys as well. That's, most of the time, and I will say this, the one thing they've got right, it's mostly been the younger guys that have been the breaches, but you see a few cases of these older guys and you just think you should know better.
Exactly.
Lucky last on the shit list. The last item in my firing squad. This has made me red hot, Das. I've seen this pop up in the last day or so, and I'm not happy about it. And I know someone else who's not happy about it. It's Russ. Patrick Dangerfield, head of the AFL Players Association. He wants shorter quarters to stay. Talk to me about that.
He's on mute. He's
gone off.
He's gone off. He's such a rager. He couldn't. He's pulled the plug. He's pulled the plug on the entire operation. He's not happy. Jerry, talk to me. I know this gets you red hot.
Yeah, so I think Paddy Dangerfield, he's tries to say a lot of. Well, I'll say something first, then Rusty come in. He tries to please everyone, mate. Just go back to 20-minute quarters. It's not hard. Like, this year was compromised, obviously. But by geez, just go back to 20-minute quarters. Russ, are you gonna?
Okay.
Russ, how mad are you about this?
Sorry, mate. I'm still
I
not
know.
there.
I know. You're right. All right.
I'm talking to Big Nick. He's telling me front bar's about to start. Apparently.
Okay.
He was letting me know. Sorry, mate. I don't know what you said, so I can't actually say anything about it.
All right.
Okay.
We'll just recap here for you, Russ. Just a couple words. Paddy Dangerfield, shorter quarters. He loves it.
Do you want shorter quarters?
What is going on in the brain department there? Don't know if I agree with that, mate. Everyone likes the 20 minutes. Why would we want to see 16-minute quarters where teams are scoring 60 points, mate? We don't love that. Go back to the traditional, stick to the 20, mate. It's 1 year. 1 year, that was a bit different. Move on to next year. Keep everything the same as 2019 and move on.
Let's also keep the 20% pay cut. How about that? We'll keep the short quarters and we'll pay you less consistently. Like, how's this happening? Like, we said it from the start. As soon as this was announced before the 2020 season, we're going to try and do shorter quarters to try and squeeze more games in. I think every single one of us, the cynic inside all of us, said, well, hang on a minute here. I reckon they're going to try and run away with this. They've been pushing for this for some time. There's been a lot of speculation and talk. They're going to try and latch onto this and keep it going forward. And this is what we're seeing coming now from the head of the AFL Players Association. We don't like this. Like, there seems to be no voice for the supporters here.
Yeah, I think it's Paddy Dangerfield likes it because he's a bit of a power athlete. He's probably not really a big endurance athlete. He's carrying a bit of weight. He's a pretty big bloke. So he likes the shorter quarters. And I reckon if you go next year, we're playing 16-minute quarters, I reckon guys like Harry Taylor roll around for another year. I would, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if G Ablett rolls around for another year. I just have a funny feeling that he'll go through. Just the way he sort of, I don't really know how to say it, but the way he was moving on the field, I feel like he could roll around for another year with the shorter quarters around if they're sticking.
Yeah, awesome. Alrighty, well, thanks, Matty. Thanks, Matty G, for the shit list. We absolutely we love it here at Talking Footy, and we love that you came in absolutely raging a bull, and we absolutely love that here. So thanks for that. So
very nice.
Anyway, moving on, we've obviously got a huge game this Saturday, prime time twilight game. We don't love that. Bring it back to Saturday 2:30. But we've got a game on this Saturday, and we're going to preview the Tigers now. So moving into the Tigers, there were comments made by Big Damo Barrett last week, and it was Russ. What was it? What did he say? Do you remember?
Damien Barrett said pretty much that the Tigers are going to lose and their dynasty is going to be over. Boy, oh boy, Damien Barrett. You know what? We don't love the Tigers, but fuck, mate, how can you make a call like that from a team that's played in 2 of the last 3 grand finals and was going into a prelim? Like, it's just stupid. And he's just absolutely shit on his face. I don't really like Damien Barrett. I don't know why. He's just shit me this year. I've not rated him this year. Some of the calls he makes are just absolutely no good. Do not like it at all.
Yeah, we don't like the Tigers, and Damien Barrett sometimes. Yes, it's just typical Damo. But where do the Tigers rank? If the Tigers win the flag this year, where do they rank in terms of best team of all time?
Interesting. I put them closer to the Geelong of the late thousands. I think that team that they had around that time is sort of where Richmond's at now. They were good, they were dominant, but they didn't win every year. And I think that's what we're seeing with Richmond. And look, I could be proven wrong if they go out there on Saturday and they win, but for the list they've had, how dominant they've been through the regular home and away season, to only finish up with 2 flags, I think is a disservice to that list.
Yep.
I'd probably say if we're talking dynasties, I'd say probably Brisbane and Hawthorn are my top 2 teams of the top the last 20 years. Like as much as I cannot stand the Hawks, they're a great team. Like you can't dispute it. And Brisbane, I was too young, but they still won a lot of games during that time and would just and 04 grand finals, whatever. What just came to play that day. But got
a couple of things. There's this page also. If you guys don't follow it, get a follow on Facebook. If Damien Barrett said this, that's what the page is called, and it's absolute piss out of Damien Barrett.
I've seen a couple of those ones.
That's great. All right,
really good quality. And also, I just think you can't go past the 1927 to 1930 4-peat, Collingwood 4-peat, only 4-peat in history. Coventry's in their prime, absolutely dominating, and can't go past it really.
I just don't agree. I just don't back talking about a dynasty that existed when you weren't even a sperm. I just reckon it should be exempt. Anything pre-2000 doesn't count for this, I think. I just can't see how you can include that.
Yeah, no, might be a little bit of bias in there, but still. But if you had to get rid of the Collingwood dynasty, then I'd probably say the Lions early 2000s or the Hawks in recent times are great. Yeah. If Richmond win this week, you really can't deny that Richmond is a great team as well.
See, I think Richmond's got a dynasty, but because the talent pool's so thin now, you look at all their players and you look at for example, Brisbane's players. Brisbane have so many champion players, whereas Richmond probably only have 3 or 4 that are really known as maybe champions, whereas a Brisbane team or a Geelong team probably have about 10 players who will probably be known as champions. So that's sort of why I think these days it makes it harder. Yes, it's a dynasty, but less players will be remembered than from the other teams.
Yeah. There is a player. I'm going to go to you, Chloe, first, but there is a player on the Richmond Footy Club. If Dusty wins a final this week and Norm Smith this week, because the AFL love him, where's he ranked for you in terms of greatest finals player of all time?
Yeah, so we've had some pretty in-depth conversation about it, and obviously Ben was very keen to not see that happen because I think looking at all the recent finals players, obviously I think you can't deny that Hodge captaining a team to a 3-peat and his own personal accolades and achievements, by a country mile, I think the best one. But if Dusty wins, what would it be? He would have won 3 Norm Smith medals if he takes out this weekend. A Brownlow, his All-Australian nominations and, best and fairest. I think he will be right at the top, in all honesty. We hate to say it, but...
It is a good CV, isn't it? It looks good on paper. 3 Norm Smiths, Brownlow, multiple All-Australians, couple flags. It's a pretty good gig.
Yeah, and I don't think he plays a ship final. If you've looked at his finals throughout the years, when is he? I struggle to think of when he's played a ship final. It's always there, and it's another debate as well because this is fucking basketball 101. Well, who do you take, Jordan or LeBron? That's fucking never ending. Like
Yeah.
that sort of stuff is the same sort of stuff we're talking
we're
about
not
now.
talking about that.
We
We're
don't
not
have
talking
No,
about
we
that.
don't
We
have
don't
time
have
for
time for that.
Yeah, I know we
We
don't have
do not
time.
have time for that.
Well, if
Um,
we're talking shit finals, 2018 prelim, Levi Greenwood had him on the leash that game. Very short leash.
Good, that's actually I want that.
Just the 19 touches in the full 20-minute quarters, only going at 57% as well. Meanwhile, you've got Steele Sidebottom went at 41 disposals and had 85% efficiency that day. So,
And how many flags has he won in the last 5 years?
He's won one in his career, but none in the last 5 years, unfortunately.
How long since
I like that
Essendon
one.
have played finals, Matty?
Sorry, you're breaking up. Can't hear that.
Breaking up.
Nice. So there was a bit of controversy during the year, and obviously this bloke had an absolutely ripping grand final in 2019. But Marleon Pickett came out just during the week that Pickett almost quit in the hub due to family reasons, which is obviously fair enough. His father was in and out of hospital and things like that. So, what are our thoughts on that? And how do you think he plays his second grand final?
Yeah, my thoughts are Pickett's going to the library on the weekend, I reckon. He's just what's he actually done this year? Like, he hasn't, every time I see Richmond play, I don't really see him do anything. So just astounds me that he's actually been getting a game every week, to be honest. I don't know if you guys agree, but like I don't feel like when he gets the ball, his foot skills are okay when he gets the ball, but I just don't think he gets enough of the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another question then I posed to you. Ben touched on this earlier. Does he get a game on another list? What club's out there? Does he get a game on every other club's list? Like at Collingwood, does he get a game? I don't think he does. Like,
Certainly not.
I mean, he gets a game at most clubs, but no clubs would go out to recruit him like from another team, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
The other thing,
players, probably.
I think the thing you got to think about is what type of player is he? I actually don't know.
Yeah,
we haven't seen enough.
Because we haven't seen
There's not
enough of him.
data.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
On the AFL side, he's classified as a midfielder, and he's below average in disposals, below average in contested possessions, below average in kicks, below average in clearances.
Yeah.
And then his only two stats that he has as average in is meters gained and score involvements. So that's for you.
So it reads to me like an impact player, sort of based on purely the stats, but obviously we haven't seen a lot. But, look at how he played last grand final, and that's sort of true. Like, I wouldn't say he was dominant in there. He played a decent game, especially for a bloke who's playing his first game of senior footy there. But, he's come in there. He's had a few kicks of the pill, a few touches, and he's done well. He kicked a goal or two. I can't remember what it was. But impact play, he comes in and comes out.
And I mean, they won that game by 90 points. So could you really, Genovese could not move that day. So could you really get anything out of that game? Not really.
Exactly.
You can't.
Exactly.
That's it.
Moving on. As Russ said, he probably will go to the library, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. These two things kind of tie in together, but players named to play in the keys to winning this game. So, what are the Tigers' strengths and weaknesses going into this game?
Well, I mean, the thing is, we were saying the Tigers' weaknesses were clearances before the final series, and now they've lifted their clearance output. So it's like, fuck, where actually is a weakness for Richmond? I actually not really sure. Like, I mean, I don't know. I actually really don't have a weakness. Like, obviously you could say clearances, but they've got on topping clearances now. I mean, they're pretty much all perfect. I think it'll be pretty much whichever team executes their plan the best on the day has got to win, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what about Maddie did say in the chat just there, but it's a very key one that I have definitely realised over their last few games is their forward pressure isn't the greatest. Like, you got players like Rioli and Castagna that have been in the library for nearly the whole year. Like,
I just think it's consistent. It's consistent forward pressure. Like, they have games. I guess we saw this more historically. This season, I think, is the season where that forward pressure has dropped off. But historically, and I'm talking the last 4 or 5 years, their forward pressure has been outstanding. It's been the pinnacle of forward pressure that all the clubs that are looking to play that sort of game style are looking to as this is the mecca. This is what you're aiming for.
Yeah.
He's a luxury player. Guys like that are called luxury players. They're players that you can have where, downhill skiers, as some people might call them. Like they're not doing anything in any other side that's not playing top four. Like Dan Rioli is a luxury player that you can have, and same with Jason Castagna. I've been a very big anti-Jason Castagna player. I think that he's a big downhill skier. I couldn't see him doing anything in any other list that's outside the 8.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, definitely. That's for sure. I think just the way with how strong Geelong's half back line is, and we will touch on that later with guys like Stewart, and when Tui's down there, they've got a lot of strength. That's probably a lot of where their strength comes from. But if Richmond's forward pressure aren't up to it on grand final day, Geelong's backline will be all over it, and they'll exit defensive 50 so easily. That's my thoughts anyway.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, speaking of Rioli as well, buddy, Damien Barrett again, another roasted. He reckons that Rioli's a chance to win the Norm Smith this weekend, which I do not rate at all.
He's on a couple of bags.
Do not rate that at all. What he's got on in the brain department, mate.
Something gone wrong in the brain department there.
Rioli's
he had a good game in the prelim, yes, a decent game, but mate, he's not going to be best on ground in the grand finals. 0 chance.
I'll put it to you this way, Russ. I'll put it to you this way. Rioli is like a Jake Stringer-esque player. He's a win-more player. He's a downhill skier. If your team's going to win, he'll play a great game, but he's not going to win you a game off his own back.
No.
Yeah. I'd much rather Jake Stringer in this side than Dan Rioli if I was.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. He's no Cyril Rioli, that's for sure. So
no, definitely not.
Yeah, definitely
not. Player of all time, but we won't.
No Dean Rioli either.
Morris Rioli is a good player. From all.
Very nice. Well, going into this game, and we'll touch on X factors and things later, but some key players for this game. Let's reel off some players here who will dominate this game that we think.
P. Lynch, that's the obvious one.
I actually looked up the last 5 games that Richmond played against Geelong, and I will give you the stats a little bit later on, but the 5 players that have dominated, there's been 5 players that have dominated over the last 5 games, and only 2 of them are Richmond players, and they're Dusty and Cochin. I really like that. I'm not a big Trent Cochin fan, but in big moments, he's one captain that lifts all the time. So I think Koch will be huge in the middle, but the big one is Tom Lynch. We saw how valuable he was in their games throughout the final series and how important he was, because in the first game that they lost against Brisbane when he wasn't there, they really did struggle down forward with just Jack Raywalt there. So I feel like he's the main one there.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think he'll have Harry Taylor's number all day if they go with that matchup. I think if they're going to contain him, because even though I don't like him, he's a great player. I think they'll have to put someone like a Blitzas on him, or they'll have to have like a Tommy Stewart, a bit of an undersized, and they'll have to have someone in an intercept role. They'll have to put some serious time. I don't think Harry Taylor's going to get the job done.
Oh, not even close.
No.
I think Harry Taylor will go to Jack Raywalt, and I reckon Blitzas will play the whole. I reckon Blitzas will play the whole game down back on Tommy Lynch. I feel like he's probably the only guy that could probably go with him. I reckon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like it literally. It'll depend on a lot of things where Blitzabs goes and plays, to be honest, because you can obviously play on the wing and play in the ruck as well. So I think it will really depend how the game's going, where Blitzabs plays. He's sort of that, we've spoken about it before, he's sort of that Mr. Fixer that could go play in every position. And it'll also be a case of whether Dusty goes forward as well. Like who's gonna go on Dusty for Geelong? Like I'm not sure who's gonna go on him. Someone like College Asney probably go on Dusty.
Yeah, there might be College Asney, I think. And then maybe a Guthrie who's in the middle.
Yeah.
Kane Corns was saying something during the week about if he's in the middle, Guthrie goes to him, goes forward. It's College Asney. It's just a simple handover.
Yeah, they were saying on the radio, they're like, oh, maybe Joel Selwood should go to him because Joel Selwood's a hard nut. I don't rate that anyway.
I don't rate that at all.
We'll touch on Geelong later anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
Bruce will be hanging for a Dusty Danger matchup.
He wants it.
Brucey will be having an erection, mate, if he sees those two matchups. Seriously.
Speaking of Bruce, Jesus Christ, has he had an awful year on commentary? Have not rated him at all. But that's another topic for another day.
Bring back Dennis. Bring back Dennis committee.
Dennis.
Oh, I miss him so much. I was literally saying that to Dad when we were watching the game the other day. Like, he was just there on the TV. And it's just like, geez, I miss Dennis committee. And I was like, I know. He was just always like had such intelligent commentary. I feel like that is really lacking in some commentators these days.
Actually say anything you wanted, but with that voice, would believe him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's where I got the
to put me to bed every night.
Yeah, it's kind of where I got the library thing. I was thinking, what's something we could like call library? And I was thinking what he said about when he sure snuck up on him like a librarian. So, and Nick Rewalt was in the library that game, but we won't touch on that game because we got an arrogant Collingwood supporter here, so we won't touch on it.
Yeah.
Big mention to the other end of the spectrum with Maddie's man Tommy Hawkins against probably a Noah Bolter matchup.
Yeah.
I reckon Bolter's got him covered easily. Like, it's just Tom Hawkins. Do you have to worry? He takes the marks, so what? Yeah, is he going to kick the goal? Maybe not flip the ball.
I think if Geelong moved the ball like they did against Brisbane, obviously two different teams, like fucking very two different teams. But if they can move it like that with G Ablett in the middle as well, and those boys like Menangola and all those sorts of guys, I think Tommy Hawkins got every chance. Like he leads well, he presents well, takes good marks. But that's the thing. If Grimes and such come off the line as well, and they can prevent Tommy Hawkins from having a big day out, then I reckon the Tigers smack him. But I rate your point, Matty. I like it.
Yeah.
I think if Hawkins gets on, as the media like to call Hawkins Island, the matchup against Noah Bolter, I reckon he will kick 5 if they're gonna get good delivery into him, because I reckon Noah Bolter. I spoke to Russo briefly about it. Former Calder Cannons boy, so I know him. He was in the under 18s when I was rolling in the 15s. He's a big kick, and I reckon that there's not much else to him in my opinion. I reckon Hawkins might have his number if their matchup is singled out all day.
We'll revisit this later, Liam. I reckon I'll get back to if Tom Hawkins kicks more than 2 goals, then we'll have a chat.
I like that though. I like it.
Good content. You can't put a time limit on good content.
Yeah, like you and Liam had good chats. Russ came in.
You can't put a time limit on good content, but you can put a time limit on a Hawthorn's premiership window.
3 years.
Those players.
All right, I'll let you go ahead now. Sorry.
No, all good. No worries. All good. Thanks, guys. So, so that's all we had for the Richmond guys, and we'll get onto a bit of their history later when we start to talk about Geelong. But there was a few announcements during the week, obviously, in the off season for a lot of clubs now. A lot of players are wanting to leave, and a lot of them have been from GWS. But there has been a lot of players nominating clubs. And we'll go through that right now. So I'll name them and then we can chat about it. So we got Orazio Fantasia is named Port Adelaide. Brad Crouch, the drug addict, is named the Saints. Hardigan has named the Hawks. Hannon has named the Dogs. He wants to go the Dogs. Jai Caldwell wants to go the Dons. And Zach Langdon wants to go up to West Coast into Perth. So
all right.
What's
I want to jump in first. I want to touch on Bichanan. I'm not sure why everyone, especially Chloe, thinks he's so good.
Speaking about what you say here.
Just because he's good looking, Chloe, does not mean he's a good AFL footballer. I'm sorry. I had to put it out there. What has he ever done? Like, I actually don't know why some people actually think he's so good. I'm not really sure how he's going to help the Bulldogs and why he's going to make the Bulldogs a better team. If you could justify it to me, then fair enough. But at the moment, I cannot see it.
He's actually
yeah, thank you. But that's not the point. No, so like the thing is with Hannon, like he's been a relatively decent footballer, but it was really only this year that he was actually able to, I guess, like showcase some of what he could do. And even still, like Melbourne only played him in 9 games, and I have no idea what their list has been doing down there because there were some. There were other players who were getting listed. They just kind of put them weren't really because, like, Hannon brings a lot of speed. He had an amazing clutch moment back in the 2018 elimination final against Geelong, where he kicked like the match sealing goal there. Then he got plagued with some injuries in 2019, and then this year he was finally able to sort of slowly get back into things. The stats definitely aren't in his favour, but from what we have seen him play, he's really quick. He uses the ball well. He can mark pretty good, and going forward, I think it's been hard for him to show his talent considering Melbourne's lineup because he is a bit of a mid-sized forward. He's not like a tall one or anything. So I think that he would just help to add a little bit more depth to our forward line. I mean, I would at this point much rather see him playing instead of someone like freaking Billy Gowers or like a big tall forward who does nothing. So I think he could add a bit of dimension to the team. I think he'll be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
he also
I
he
could be wrong.
started in the Dogs as well. Actually, he was playing VFL for us before he traded to Melbourne.
Yeah, fair enough. As I said, I might be wrong, so I'll admit if I'm wrong. We'll see
Yeah.
how he goes next year.
Yeah, that's it.
Um,
Otherwise, you can what's it called? Wave it in my face and say I told you so.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, well, the thing is, with Mitch Hannon, I think you'll probably send pick 486 to Melbourne.
We'll get him good, I think.
I think it'll be a 3-figure pick, I reckon. So you won't really have much to worry about. I watched a few Melbourne games. I've got some family that are Melbourne supporters. Brisbane. Oh, sorry. The Doggies finishing 6th or 7th this year. Was it 6th or 7th?
7th.
7th. But for marking, you were ranked 12th this year. And Mitch Hannon, from what I could see, had a pretty good set of mitts on him. He was pretty good for a contested mark on the lead, especially. And in a forward line that's, struggled for tall timber when you're relying on Mitch Wallace to lead your goal kicking, a midfielder. And you've got guys like Shaki that couldn't fire, Bruce couldn't fire, Gowers couldn't fire. I reckon if you get a good mid-sized forward, it can really rejuvenate the forward line. And especially if you're getting it for nothing, I reckon it'll be a good get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that actually. On that, why are the Bulldogs drafting so many forwards? They're all useless.
I know.
Josh Bruce, Josh Shaki. Josh Shaki is a donut.
Shaki's
Like,
a
he is a
potato.
fucking
Josh
donut.
Shaki is worse than Billy Gowers.
He's a donut.
They're
That
both,
is his name,
him and
Josh,
Gowers,
or-
as far as I'm concerned, they can be delisted. Like, they've had their fair chance. They haven't stepped up. Bruce, like, he's still new. He's had one decent game, and the rest have been like relatively disappointing. But he has had some shining moments where he's just played his part, even if it's just doing a fake lead so that Wallace or one of the or like Norton or someone else can, make like a proper target for going inside 50.
You're struggling with the highlights of fake
yeah.
lead.
Pardon?
You're struggling as an AFL footballer when you.
Oh, I know. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm just saying, like, at least he's doing something. It may not be a lot, but considering that we've put him on a 5-year contract, like, you know what, like, little victories at the moment. But yeah, and him, yeah, I know, right? So yeah, Bruce really needs to step up next year, but that's a whole other topic of conversation. Like, he's definitely not my favorite player on the squad. Let's put it that way.
Next player, Jai Caldwell, going to the Bombers. Matty.
Yeah, look, and I'll caveat this. I haven't seen a lot of this kid play. As we sort of touched on earlier, I think he's played 9 senior games. He's not had a lot of a run, but from all accounts, was a highly touted midfielder in the draft. Slipped a little bit and got picked up a little later. I can't remember what pick. I think it was in the
13,
teens
pick
somewhere.
13.
Pick 13. There you go. Look, I think one thing that GWS has done poorly, I think they've done a lot right, but the one thing they've done poorly is they've overdrafted a lot of key midfielders. And I think what we could be seeing here is a player that is of a very high caliber, but just can't quite fit into the midfield of GWS. Like, you look at the players that they've had running through that midfield over the last 5 years, and there's just some absolute like star talent that's been there.
Yeah, agree. No, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a risk because you got to sign him on like a 4-year deal or so. How many years was the deal?
It's a long time. Yeah, look,
it's a while.
For a player who hasn't really had much exposure, he's a very, very big risk. But see how he goes. He might. I think he'll come in and be decent, but he's not going to be a star for at least another few years.
I think it meshes well with our current list of younger midfielders. Looking at Zach Merritt and Andrew McGrath. I guess just trying to get a lot of other younger guys in that list around the same time, and it's got to work out. He's got to develop. He's got to step up, and maybe he will, and maybe he won't. But I think that's definitely what the Bombers are going for. And if they're signing him on that long a contract, I think they definitely see something that we haven't.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we'll see how he goes.
I think you got to be wrapped with it, really. A player that wants to be at your club. He's a tackling machine, exciting around the stoppages. First round draft pick. I think you've got to be, wrapped with it. Even if you haven't, you might have not seen him play once, but just the fact that a young, really, talented junior footballer wants to be at your club over finals playing clubs, I think it's a really good sign.
I don't know. Is he going for money though, or is he
But
going?
that's the thing. Yeah. Is it money? Because this is something. St Kilda were chasing him. How much money do they have to spare? I mean, we've had a bit of an exodus with a lot of players leaving. It's definitely a bit of cash on the books that we can afford to spend. I don't know.
I think a lot for him, for such a young player. a lot of them going into league at such a young age, I feel like it comes a lot down to opportunity. And obviously, with how strong GWS's midfield is, he's not going to get that time there. So I feel like it's a lot about opportunity. Obviously, because they're so young, as much as money's a big thing, a lot of young players just love the game. Look at Matty Rao, for example. He just loves playing footy. And I feel like that could be similar with John Caldwell. He's only played under 10 games. I feel like he just wants to get an opportunity to play at a club. So, I'm pretty wrapped that Essendon were able to pick up a first rounder there. So
Yeah, I like it. Like a couple of guys have said, like Liam said, he wants to beat your club and he actually gives a shit. Like, isn't that what they've been yearning for? Isn't that what Essendon as a club wants?
We need.
You want you want that culture. You want people to actually be there. You don't want fucking
Yeah.
people not to be there. So it's a good start. Look, it's going to be a long road back for the Bombers, but if they can get a couple of good youngsters in, then who the fuck knows? Honestly,
Yeah.
Time
They
is
have to
both
start
fast
somewhere.
and slow in footy, so you never know. Like a year or two from now, we might be saying, "Oh, wow, that moved quick," and 10 years from now, you might be looking, "Oh, we're in the same position."
Yeah, exactly.
I've said that about Carlton. that's been us for the
Well,
last
that's it.
10 years.
Carlton for the last 10 years have been on the precipice of
even.
that rebuild, pushing,
Mm.
20 even,
Yeah.
pushing on to have a quality contending list. And I guess, footy time is relative. It's either very long or very short. Things happen fast or they just don't happen at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I agree with that.
yeah. Moving on. Orazio has mentioned that he wants to go to Port Adelaide. Thoughts on that?
Get rid of him. Don't like him. Too many soft tissue injuries. He'll play 3 games a year. I just see him slotting in and basically being Stephen Motlop. As we know, Motlop plays about 3 good games per year. Once he's exhausted those 3 good games, I'll put Orazio Fantasia in until he does a hamstring.
Well, he doesn't want to be there, so why does he just go home to Adelaide?
Yeah, like why would you want to keep him?
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to be there. Like, he didn't want to be there last season.
Yeah.
Even Danaher didn't want to be there last season. So, see you later.
That's all right. Fair enough.
I do think he's a good pickup for them, though. I talk a lot of shit about saying that he's very injury prone, but when he's on the park and when he's playing well, like this is I talk about Richmond's forward pressure that we've seen in the last couple of years. This is a player that would actually fit into that list and get a game on that list when he's playing his best. So I think that if he can get his body right, Port have got a really good pickup there if they can get him.
Yeah, I think he'll be good at Port if he can get on the park.
Yes. Brad Crouch is named the Saints.
I like it. I like the Saints becoming a bit of a destination club, attracting a bit of talent. Look, say what you will about Crouch. I mean, he's not anything particularly specially. I mean, he's a good player, but I just like seeing the Saints sort of return to glory a little bit and just get a good competitive list going. And they've got a good young forward in King up there, and you whack a few experienced players in the midfield, and that can turn around pretty quickly.
Yeah, nice. I feel like he'll add quite a bit to the Saints. Obviously, he's had a bit of drama in the off season, but he's still a gun of a player. I feel like he'll slot into a St Kilda side pretty nicely.
Yeah, I think like him actually doing the drugs and all that actually definitely helps St Kilda get him, because I don't think they have some money, but not a lot of money. So his asking price would have probably been down by maybe about 100,000, which would have probably helped get the deal over the line.
For sure.
Zach Langdon, he's mentioned he wants to go to Perth. He wants to go to West Coast.
Oh, he wants to go to West Coast. Okay.
It's actually confirmed. I think they've said that he's.
Is he like? I don't know. The West Coast need to play like that. Like, is he that good?
He's just another small forward.
Yeah,
they've got a few of those though.
Yeah, they do have a few of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if would he even get a game?
Don't know. Maybe.
I think.
If he gets a game, who does he push out? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not
is
sure.
Willie Rioli ever coming back as well? You got to think of that as well.
No,
Good
question. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Put on the best block in a grand final ever. So we love that. And finally, Hardigan named the Hawks. He wants to come to the Hawks on a 3-year deal. He's currently 28. I'm so 50-50 about this. We're all about this new young list. And we know it obviously because we're getting rid of all these older players. We've got Hartley, and he played a really good couple of games as well. So I don't know. Does he fill the void of Frawley? I don't know. Or do you just go after a young backman? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did lose Frawley and Stratton, so I guess you probably need maybe one.
Yeah, but we've already got young players to fill Stratton's role. We've already got small like Stratton plays on small. I'm just talking more about key backs. I don't know. It looks like his interception plays look good, but in terms of disposals wise and everything, he just looks like meh. Not really bothered by it.
I think it's a bit of a nothing signing. I think it's a bit average.
Yeah.
A 28-year-old rebuilding list. He's not like, a big leader or anything. He's more of a guy that you sort of plug in to fill a role. It's like I just think it's a bit of a nothing signing in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on to North Melbourne a little bit, and we'll talk about a little bit about this. We'll start on Pollock and Hall. Are they going to stay or are they going to go?
Well, Pollock, they paid a lot for him, and I think this is where it's sort of starting to come back to bite them. And I don't blame North Melbourne for doing this. I mean, this is the issue that I have with free agency in a nutshell. The top clubs will attract talent like Tom Lynch. Geelong's going to get Jeremy Cameron. How much money are they going to end up paying for Jeremy Cameron? I made the point to Russo sort of almost as a hyperbole, as a joke, that Geelong are going to probably pay Jeremy Cameron about the same amount that North was paying Pollock. So I wouldn't be far off. You wouldn't be far off the truth by saying that, would you? About 800K is probably about the mark. And you just think isn't that a huge issue that, not sort of looking at North Melbourne, I know I'm going off track here, but doesn't that just highlight a larger issue when it comes to free agency?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely does. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I think free agency itself, it can be a good concept, but it could obviously also be a bad concept. Like they have the compensation picks, but that's, I don't know. Sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it's enough. Sometimes it's too much. Like it's just the system's a bit all over the place.
I just think clubs like North Melbourne have to take such larger risks than clubs like Richmond and Geelong. They have to pay all this money for a player like Pollock. And, whilst he's not a bad player, he's not an $800,000 player. And I think they're seeing what they're getting out of him now. And, the return's not there. So you sort of have to move him along.
But yeah, they're pretty much forced. So, to be honest, they're pretty much forced to keep Pollock and Hall on their list because they're paying them so much money that
who will take it?
They can't get rid of them because they're going to have to pay some of their salary if they get rid of them. So they're pretty much.
Well, they might do that. They've got the money.
Yeah,
they do have the money. They just don't have the players to fill the list.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have a statement here that Wayne Carey made, and it's pretty brutal. Obviously, coming from your legend of the club, I'll just read it out. We had a statement from the chairman on Friday to tell us what was going around about what's going on with Heath Shaw. But who else we haven't heard from? We haven't heard anything from the club. When things are going bad like this for North, I think bad is a kind word for the use at North Melbourne right now. It's pretty catastrophic. Why haven't we heard anything from key people? What's the direction of the club? Give your supporters some kind of feedback of what's going on. Why are they on such a downhill? What's going on with Heath Shaw and everything like that? We're all sitting in the dark, and that's all I am. I'm an ex-player that's interested, and we don't know anything. The place is in absolute shambles, and we're hearing from no one. If you believe what we're told, this place has got cancer running right through the footy club. It is really concerning. So that's Wayne Carey's comments.
Yeah, I agree with all his comments, but the cancer is a bit too far, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with what he's saying. North Melbourne have not spoken, they've not said anything about, you've got to reach out to your members, tell them the direction you're going to take, or do they just, maybe because of what's going on with Reece Shaw, not Heath Shaw, by the way, just so you know.
I knew what he meant.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe I'll cut us some slack because obviously Reece Shaw has had issues, which we'll touch on, which is maybe sort of held them back from speaking about the direction they were to take it because they weren't sure. But I think now that it's come across their desk that Reece Shaw's no longer got to coach North Melbourne, they need to put out some statement and say what direction they got to take and the type of coach they got to look for next.
I actually say I see this announcement with Heath Shaw, and look, this is those of you in the Talking Footy chat. I did post this a long time ago and called it. Some various sources on the internet sort of heard about Heath Reece Shaw, sorry, Reece Shaw leaving, the breakdown and the fallout, and the fact that he'll never return there to coach, and that's sort of come out. I think it was today that it was officially announced, and
Yeah.
I guess I see that announcement today as the beginning of North sort of defining their clear direction for the next 5 to 10 years, and
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
in the coming months we will see more come out.
Yeah, all right. Who's
Yeah.
going to coach North Melbourne? What do we think?
So I think in the short term,
James Hurd.
I'd say probably okay. So if you want someone who's like literally there, like John Blakey would be the one because he's literally the only other one there. But
No,
the
I'm
names
saying
are a bit.
like who are they got to get from outside, not from
Oh,
like yeah, like who are they got to get to coach
Voss
for
alone.
next year? Like
Voss,
who's got to sign on for the next
Ross
3 4
Lyon.
years?
I reckon it's going to be Bossy. I reckon Ross Lyon's going to stay in the media. I reckon he's going to. He's getting. He's
To be
getting
honest,
paid enough.
I'll rate him on footy class 4.
Yeah, like he's actually good in the media. Like I don't think he needs to go back to coaching. Why go back to extra stress?
See, the thing is, I'm not sure about.
I don't rate Bossy either, but I'm saying like
not
that's
sure.
why he like
Like-
I agree with you 100%, Russ. But I think Ross Lyon's going to stay where he is, and Michael Voss coaches the Kangas.
I think the
that's
thing is with Voss, like, would Voss want to go into, like, he's obviously already been sacked from a club that was struggling. Would he want to go into a club that's struggling and have to rebuild that club? Like, it'd be very hard for him. And most of those coaches that have to do that don't last, which is why I think North Melbourne should just say, look, find like someone that's very senior, like someone like a Ross Lyon, just anyone that's coached for a number of years and has that to say, right, you're coaching us like sort of what Paul Roos did with Melbourne, right? You're coaching us for 3 years. Like, you coach us for 3 years, and then you could like help fix the club up and then leave and pass it on to maybe someone like a Voss after that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if you're Ross Lyon, like you got to look at, like, this is a guy that he's been around. He's coached a couple of clubs. He's now got a well-paying job in the media. Do you take on a coaching role at a club like North Melbourne now? Like, there's a lot of work involved. That's not an easy gig. That's not slotting into, you know, a couple years at West Coast or a couple years at Collingwood. Like, this is a club that's in a very bad position. It's not going to be an easy job. It's a very stressful position to be put in. Like, does he want to go back there?
For sure, but they could pay him probably upwards of $1 million. So, I mean, it'd be a lot of money.
Well, I don't think. I think Ross Lyon is very suited to the media, and I think that, you know, his personality, obviously, you know, pretty well documented. He's pretty, you know, big personality. I don't think I can see him returning to coaching, and definitely not North Melbourne, in my opinion. Can definitely see like a Vossi joining, or even like a Brenton Sanderson, who's, you know, had experience in the finals before, playing finals footy, winning culture at the Crows before he was, as a lot of people would say, was unluckily sacked. And then someone you could even try and go for a new route. You go for someone like a Scott Burns, who's been in the system for a long time, has been a senior assistant at multiple clubs, has been, you know, he's always in the race for a new job, so for a new AFL coaching job. So I think he could be a chance too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. And on coaches, Ken Hinkley won Coach of the Year.
I back it. I like what he did with the Port list. I think he was pretty brave and bold. And I've got a good mate that I work with that's a Port Adelaide supporter, and we've talked about this at length. If you look at Essendon and Port Adelaide a couple of years ago, there wasn't too much to separate the two. They were in a very similar position, similar list, and one club's gone one way and one club's gone the other way. And the key difference there is Port have invested in their youth, and Essendon tried to pick up some older established players that didn't work out. And look, you can say Port drafted well and they got a bit lucky, and some of these players they picked up are sensational, absolute guns. But I really love what Ken Hinkley's done. I mean, he's given the young kids a free rein, just go out there, play footy, love the game, and I just love what I'm seeing from them.
Yeah, fair enough. We all don't rate the power, but yeah, we'll say we respect Ken Hinkley and good on him for getting Coach of the Year.
And yeah, you could make a case for a couple of coaches like Brett Ratton as well on the Saints. They had a really good year and he coached really well. Like, obviously rate him.
Yeah.
Even like this is a bit sort of off center, but even like a bit of Justin Longmuir as well from the Dockers. Like, he got them playing a really good brand of footy. Like, obviously they didn't win a fucking lot of games.
They were dangerous towards the end of the season.
Like
Absolutely.
They had a good brand of footy, and like they can, like, they're going to be pushing for a top 8 spot in years to come, in the next couple of years. But
Former Collingwood assistant.
yeah, exactly right. 100%. And yeah, I just, on the point before, we Kangas exactly like rightly with Scotty Burns. I don't know why he hasn't got a job. Like, yeah,
He got the Adelaide assistant job.
I got assistant. All right, perfect. All right, retract my point then.
Obviously, we did touch on Silvani and the Blues, but we can touch on Kane Little and sabotaging the list. Russ?
Yeah, that was interesting call because the thing is as well, like Kane Little didn't actually say that directly to Silvani, so it came from Mark Lejudice, those comments. So it's a bit of a sort of this person said this person said that, bit of schoolyard stuff. So yeah, it's a
Chinese whispers.
A bit of Chinese whispers. Yeah, I think Silvani's comments are obviously really strong. Like I listened to the whole interview and he said some really strong things about the footy club, and just I think he sort of does not really believe the direction that we've gone in some of the decisions Carlton has made. So yeah, it was a really, really interesting insight. I hope people like that, especially a legend of the club, can fix ties with the Blues, especially when he's obviously still got a son there, and he's one of the best. He's probably the best fullback of all time. So hopefully he can repair those relationships, that he can still sort of be around the club in a few years' time again.
Yep.
Just a quick fun fact here, Maddie, when you were just talking about the Port youngsters. Fun fact for you guys, I actually took on Zach Butters' locker from school, so fun fact.
Nice.
That's
nice.
good energy.
Love
So
that.
I
That
think
is very good energy.
It's very good energies.
that officially means we can now call Zach Butters a friend of the show, friend of Talking Footy. Congratulations to Zach Butters.
Yes, I like that.
Get him on the show.
Yeah. And just final announcement,
vibes.
obviously. Just final announcement. Just the GF Sprint, the lineup was announced. It's actually quite an elite lineup. I actually don't know who one of the guys is, but who we backing? We got Brad Hill, Charlie Cameron, Brent Keys, Jordan Clark, Ben Ainsworth, Josh Thomas, some guy called Begoa from Richmond, and Dersma.
All right, who do we think is winning the GF Sprint? Quick tips.
Bradley Hill.
Clark.
What? What did you say, Matt?
Jordan Clark.
Charlie
Oh,
Cameron.
oh,
And
Yeah,
then
Charlie
I
Cameron.
probably reckon
this is
Cameron,
an
to be honest.
outside chance, I reckon.
Nice. I think Jordan Clark as well.
Yeah, I'll go with Cameron.
Nice. Well, obviously there are two teams. I can chuck that. See you later.
I love that. All right, here we go, boys. We got more. Fuck it off. We're not doing it.
I'm just sort of chucking notes out. He's going in.
Obviously, we got two teams playing on Saturday, not just one, and we're hoping this team gets up. Even though I hate them with a passion, we hope this team gets up. We're going to open up with a small clip. Actually, I should get that ready. Share screen, awesome. We got a little clip for you guys. A little bit of a chuckle. This was Charlie Cameron starting his fake motorcycle against Geelong. So enjoy. Nice, awesome. Thanks,
Yeah, rate
Charlie.
that. Don't rate. I think Charlie Cameron sometimes with that motorbike, he's got to just settle down a bit, mate. Like first quarter is showing the motorbike. Like, mate, just relax a bit, mate. Come back to bite him in the butt a little bit.
Yes, that's right. So
we love a bit of me time.
we are going to preview. We are going to preview the chats, the cats. And
the
we're
chats.
going to go
Chats
into a
about
bit of
cats.
history. Going to go back into a little bit of history a little bit later on. But first up, we're going to start up. Can the old Cats keep up with the Rapid Tigers?
Yes. We saw Gary Ablett Jr. play what I think was one of the best individual performances of his season in the prelim. I think, a lot of us have been saying he's old, he's finished, and, whilst he's close to retirement, I think he showed us that he still has another gear to go to, and I think that, he's silky smooth, and just seeing how he pulls up on grand final day, he could be dangerous.
Well, I mean, I think Geelong just play their game, and it doesn't matter if they're slow. Like they like to play, obviously, the kick mark game. So if they can possess the ball, obviously foot skills are going to be vital for the Cats. If they make a turnover, Tigers has just got to score. Like Richmond's obviously number one in scoring off turnovers in the competition. So that's obviously their one strength. So yeah, foot skills is the key for me. If they Geelong can execute, they could go a long way to winning this game for sure.
I'd love to see Ablett take a few players out, just like in his last game. Just
Yeah, I'd rate that.
knock a few heads.
A real lethal Lee Matthews type of energy.
Yeah,
Hey,
mate, if you never play it again, just fucking first bounce, just run at Dustin Martin and just hit him in the ribs, mate. Like, why not?
Would you hit Dustin Martin in the ribs?
Yeah,
Honestly.
mate, why not?
He's got neck tattoos. I wouldn't go near him.
Stuff and Dusty. I'd be running from the midfield. I'd start on ball, run from the midfield to the Richmond forward line and knock out Tom Lynch. That's what I'd do. That's what I'd do. Ball would go up. You'd run straight past it. See you later. I'm not roving this. Straight to Tom Lynch. Bang.
That reminds me of Matty Lloyd running straight into Brad Sauls.
I forgot about that.
Cockhead. Matty Lloyd.
Lucky, like didn't know what he would have done.
All I remember is we won the game and Matty Lloyd never played again.
Anyway. Yeah, I remember when Buddy Franklin made Cale Hooker catch his breath.
Okay.
Going
back to the original point.
Sorry.
Gary Ablett, he's most likely played his last
Bobby's
game.
trying to speak.
We're moving on. You said we're moving on.
It's clear we're going to have to edit here, so let's just restart. Chloe, do you want to go in with your...
I would really like to, if that's okay.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, all good to go.
So going back to the original point, so I think Geelong keeping up with the Tigers, they could definitely have a problem with, but I think as long as they control the pace, they won't have to worry about it. So if they can make sure that the ball's slowing down and kept all on their terms, then it's not going to be as huge an issue. But if they're bending to Richmond's style of play, which is really very quick, lots of handballs, kicking from one end of the ground to the other in 10 seconds, it's going to be a very different story.
I agree with Chloe 100%. I think if Geelong sort of played on their terms, I think we could see a very different Richmond. But if Richmond just open it up and take the piss, my head says the Tigers, my heart says Geelong, is how I'm interpreting.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, Jez.
We love that
nothing
analogy.
more than the Cats to win, but just on paper, you can't go past Richmond.
Yeah.
100% agree. That's what I thought. I was thinking they're going to ask me what I think about tonight. I was like, yeah, with the head it's Richmond, but the heart's Geelong.
Yeah. I think Gaz could play another year, but it's also I rate why he's stopping, and I think the fact that he's going out, if they win on top, and even if they don't win, he's going out on top. He's playing decent enough footy where I think he could play another year. So we'll get onto that, but more power to Gaz and more power to the Cats.
Yeah, it is a sad time. Obviously, G. Ablett has been the standout of the comp for a little while now. So we've got some highlights here of Gary doing his best work. So we got his top 5. Let me get it up again. Share screen.
He's a big listener, so he'll like this.
He is a big listener. I heard that.
He'll like this.
Fan of the show, I hear. Loves it.
When he plays his 248th, Gary Ablett Jr. Long to the square. Damp is a superstar. He might be better. Dying stages. Ablett. Well, they did this last time Collingwood stole the lead. Had the instant reply. Ablett from just outside 50. Brennan! Harbrow just crept that out to Ablett. Little 1-2 with Prestia works nicely.
He's well on his way to 50.
Aaron Hall. Wits in the ruck.
Way to go.
A dodge, a sidestep.
Don't tell me.
He's a superstar, Gary Ablett, and he puts Collingwood on the ropes.
Gary Kebablet.
The man is just a freak. He's extraordinary. A freak. He's like he's got a different gear to everyone else. He doesn't fall over and he doesn't fumble. He ran around the back of the stoppage, and as soon as he got near it, you knew where it was going. Dane Beams got caught ball watching.
It's around 1 and it's a driving kick too. That's to the advantage of Gold Coast. Really well done. Lynch stretched for it. Here's Ablett from the pocket. High ball. Don't tell me.
Oh, no.
Goodness gracious me. That is an unbelievable goal from Ablett. Chris Scott and Myers on from the box. And look at this. The Geelong supporters think they've got it, and so they think it's time to stand and applaud.
I reckon they're standing and applauding. You're right, for G. Ablett. That's a great mark of respect. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. No one in the game would even go anywhere near to it. He's just a freak. Look at that.
That is ridiculous. That's 45 metres.
They're having a good time out there. Steve Johnson enjoying himself. Stokes. Ablett, speaking of enjoying himself, from the pocket. That is as good as it gets from the genius.
It's Sladdy's better.
It's the same play.
The other angle, they show another angle, the other angle.
The pressure, you just see the pressure on him here. He has a look, he sizes it up. He was having a crack at the goal because under too much pressure to the centre of the ball. Have a look at the eyes have a look at the goal, size it up. That is a magnificent shot. Fantastic.
Blake, McIntosh, Corey over the top, into the path of Ablett, goes inside the forward 50, beautifully done.
Gets inside 50, now he goes to the champ, in the pocket, charging towards goal, gives it off and Burns kicks it.
Goes very short, Otten speeds it back inside.
So no free kick there, boundary throw, Nick Johnson crashing in, Ablett make that 13, Tim. As he goes to the pocket to Ottens and gets in.
Kelly over the football, Bartel, Ablett, this is getting ridiculous. Ablett's away, putting on a virtuoso performance. He had to go and meet the man, realising that this wouldn't look too good on his CV because Ablett kicks the goal. Standing his ground, Chapman, Corey, Ablett.
To Blake, to Ablett, on the run. Beautiful kick to Chapman.
Ottens will get a free kick, advantage is paid. Now, Ablett scoots away with runners alongside.
Corey, Ablett, well done, brilliant handball. Had a terrific opening term, so did this bloke. Ablett still weaving plenty of magic.
Leaves a bad taste in your mouth because sometimes the free kicks get given when, you know, they don't deserve them.
Oh, Doug Wade. Something decisive from Blake is required. Did brilliantly. Something decisive from Ablett will occur.
Beautiful.
Yeah. He's on fire.
Blood capsules.
A long time ago at the MCG, Sandy Roberts said one day when Gary Ablett Sr. kicked a goal, what more can you say?
It is just remarkable. Here it is. Okay, here he breaks from Pratt. He just moves to the contest.
He dragged that out of Harding's hands.
He mesmerises opposition players too.
Boundary throw in the pocket. Bomber Thompson can't do much now. Ablett gets through. He can do plenty. Hooks it back. How about that? Come with the moment. Come with the man. The son of the man.
Ablett with hair. How scary.
He finishes it off. Just watch this tap by Ottenzo. Beautiful tap. Ablett just able to push off his direct opponent, knew exactly what he was doing, able to screw the ball back off again. Only one clear hand on that ball, and that was Otten's.
I think sometimes we forget, like, just me personally seeing those highlights, like how good Gary Ablett actually is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. All right, quickly pose this question. Who do we think is better, him or his dad? What are our thoughts on that?
Different game. You can't compare them. I mean,
yeah, I'm with Matt.
It's more fluid, mobile sort of
Different
game
positions
now.
as well.
It was very positional when his dad played. If I had to pick, I'd probably pick Junior, but you know.
No, fair enough.
Who can put them in each other's eras? Who's playing better? I reckon it's Junior as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Because Gary Ablett Sr. played in an era where there was a lot of goal kickers. There was like Dunstall as well, who was probably even better. And like Gary Ablett Jr. has probably been the best midfielder in the competition for a number of years, like
for over a decade. And I think it's the longevity of it, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, exactly right. His longevity is crazy. Like, to play how he did in that prelim is how old is he now? 35 or 36? I don't know how old he is.
With a fucked shoulder as well. Like
it's just insane. Like no players ever play like the only one that I've really seen ever played like that at that age, not as good, is probably Brent Harvey, like consistency-wise.
Yeah.
Or Silk.
Schreiber on.
Yeah.
Yes. Moving on. Is this Harry Taylor's last game?
Yes.
You say win the flag, yes.
Yes. Irrespective of win or lose, I think this is it.
I think he's done. Like he's just a liability on the field. Like he's done nothing all season, and I think he's done nothing for 2, even 3 seasons before.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, Jez. I think like
that's a big call.
Last week he was on Hipwood, I think he was on, and he carved him up. So like I think he's good in the sense that like he can do a lockdown role, but he doesn't get a lot of the ball.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Yeah. We want to speak about an ex-Carlton player, Lockie Henderson. He's gone from being delisted to playing in a GF. Good on him, I reckon.
Ex-Lion as well. Big list.
Ex-Lion as well.
The list management of Carlton continues to amaze us all.
Well, that could be something we can talk about during the off season, just like that sort of stylings. Yeah, we've had a couple of people go through, but you got to give off people to get C Judd. We gave Jay Kennedy, so
he wanted
sold your soul to the devil. That's what happened.
Lockie Henderson he really wanted to go when he left. I remember he
he wanted to get out there 100%. Yeah, he was not happy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that he got delisted by Geelong and they've picked him up, and now he's like, without him, like their defense seems like they'd be lost. Like it's just fit into their structure so well this year. He didn't play. I don't think he played for probably like the first 6 to 8 weeks, and then someone got injured for Geelong. Then he's just come in, and there's just been no turning back. So yeah, good on him. He deserves to be in the grand final. Like I'll be even as a Carlton supporter, I'll be happy for him if he gets a premiership medallion.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Awesome.
Too true, Russ. Too true.
So obviously it's Danger's first GF, and we'll touch on this for the moment. And it's big stats coming out here to do me research here. So Geelong total team, they've only had 7 players that have actually played in a grand final, whereas Richmond have had got 18 players from their 2019 flag playing in a grand final. Does grand final experience matter? Obviously, we've seen it so many times, but the Geelong players, like the list of them, Selwood, Hawkins, Harry Taylor, Duncan, Ablett and Dowhouse all played ripper games in their grand finals. We won't touch on Gary Rowan because he had a shitter. But those names themselves are very, very big names, and all had a massive part to do with their grand final wins when they played.
Yeah, 100%. I think that I would usually say yes, that it would be a big thing. But I reckon this year, out of all years, particularly because it's at the Gabba, I don't think it'll have much effect. I think if we were playing at the MCG, like last year, for example, I knew straight away that there's no chance the Giants were going to beat the Tigers last year because the MCG was just going to be too much. This year at the Gabba, it's a lot smaller crowd. It's not going to be as one-sided, the crowd. I know there will be a few more Richmond supporters than Geelong supporters because I read that there was about 3,300 tickets sold to Richmond members and about 2,500 tickets to Geelong.
Why?
So I don't know. I think it's just because the way that because they could only sell tickets to people that were in Queensland. So I think there just happened to be more Richmond members in Queensland. Okay. But I think that this year won't actually matter as much as previous years.
Yeah, so with the ground they're playing at as well, does that, I'm not sure, regardless of the supporters and all that, do we think, if it was played at the G, Richard would have more of an advantage as opposed to, because it's at the Gabba this year, do we think Geelong had more of an advantage just based on, game style and the ground size, etc.? Do we think that makes a difference?
Undefeated at the Gabba, the Cats, this year.
I think it's not so much the ground for me. I think it's just more that finals experience, and that's what we've seen with Richmond this entire final series. When it gets tough, and that Port Adelaide game was a prime example. The game's on the line. It's hard footy. You're playing at Adelaide Oval with a full packed crowd of Port Adelaide supporters, and they just found an extra gear. And Richmond having that experience in the list, they're going to be able to find that extra gear where Geelong may not be able to.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Geelong's obviously Geelong's the oldest list in the comp. They're still very experienced because probably I'm not sure of the exact stat, but like I'd say 95% of their players have played finals and have experienced finals. And I guess as well, the fact there's only got to be 30,000 people there could also actually play into favour of some of the Geelong players, because a lot of them probably haven't played in front of a crowd of 95 to 100,000 before. So whereas like then they could have got stage fright, whereas now they might not get as much stage fright now if there's less people there.
Yeah, well, we saw last year as well, Russ. Geelong were the minor premiers, and then against my boys, the Pies, 90,000+ at the G. They sort of shit the bed a bit. They didn't really rock up. So and then they ended up making a prelim, and the same thing happened. They were up at halftime, and then they shut the bed again. So
yeah, exactly.
I reckon this year is really suited to the Cats to actually have a chance against a GMHBA like crowd.
Very, very good point.
I will add on. Go, Chloe.
Tough. I was just gonna say, I think the other thing too is like I understand that obviously grand finals, obviously a pretty big step up from the other finals, but I think it'd be interesting to see how many of the Cats players have just been in a final full stop, and whether or not that might be a bit more even to Richmond's grand final squad, if that makes sense. Because like I said, obviously a bit of a difference between a prelim and a grand final, but at the same time, I mean, finals, it's still a different level of footy to your general home and away season. So I reckon that might be an interesting one to look into as well.
Yeah. I will add on that Richmond did beat Geelong in round 17 by 26 points this year. So I'm not too sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was at Metricon or the Gabba.
I'm not too sure. It was definitely a Metricon.
Yeah, it was definitely a Metricon.
It was a Metricon. Yeah. But that game, Geelong were just absolutely horrible that game. So that was it was like 1 goal to 2 at half time or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it was fucking atrocious.
It was one of the worst games of the year, actually. So do you read much into that game? I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. I feel like this game will be quite a low scoring game, hard and tough game. Like, that's what footy really is these days, which a lot of us don't love, but like it's how it is now. They're not going to be kicking 15, 16 goals in a grand final. I think it'll be like almost first 8 to 10 goals sort of wins the game.
Yeah.
Just a quick one as well. What are you guys' thoughts on Asava Radaglia? Last time they played, he had the 2 goals, which is basically a bag these days. The 15 touches, the 7 marks, and an 80% efficiency. Every time I've seen him play this year, he's played really well, but they've opted for Reece Stanley in recent times, and they haven't picked Sav along with Reece Stanley as well. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So would you say drop Reece Stanley, or would you say play both of them?
I would say I'd be playing Radaglia and Stanley if I was the Cats.
Yeah.
Drop.
I reckon you can get away with playing another one forward, because they play Gary Rowan as their centre half forward, and he's like 188 centimeters.
Yeah, see, I think though, like the Geelong forward line, I think the Geelong forward line works when they can isolate Hawkins though, if they can. But I don't know if they can do that against Richmond, because Richmond's obviously got a really good team defence. So if Richmond are onto that and they're double teaming Hawkins, or they know obviously Hawkins likes to over the back, if Richmond have played for him well, it could be a cause of concern for Geelong if they don't have another key forward. So that's where Radaglia could be. He could be good, but I don't know. In a way, like Geelong's have obviously won the last 2 finals without him, so it'd be pretty tough to drop someone now. And I think he's quite inconsistent. Like, yes, he's a good mark, but he sort of reminds me a bit of like Levi Casbolt, like good mark, but doesn't really give you much else.
Well, what's the difference between you and Tom Hawkins then?
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, nice. Well, going into this game, obviously there are some key factors into winning. So what are the strengths and weaknesses for the Cats? I think I'll kick it off. I think their big strength is their half back line, and I'll say their midfield is very solid. But the thing that I've seen all year is that when their half back line performs, when Tom Stewart's up and about, when Zach Tui's up and about, and including Lockie Henderson, such great ball users off the half back line, when they're playing well, they're winning games. That's their strength. And their weakness is shit delivery inside the forward 50.
Yeah, because I was watching some highlights they were showing on their Sub Footy show of when they played against Richmond, and Richmond hadn't had that much pressure. They were just banging it in a lot.
Mm.
I think especially if Geelong's going to go in with that small forward line, they can't be banging it in a lot, because they can't rely on Hawkins to take on 3 or 4 tall Richmond defenders. So they definitely got to lower the eyes for sure.
agree with that. You saw clearly what Richmond are able to do defensively when the ball comes in up and high over to Charlie Dixon. They're able to just spoil it down the ground straight out of the defensive 50, and they were gone. And that was probably a massive key to them winning. So if Geelong can really lower their eyes, they've got such good ball users. That's the thing. If they got such good ball users, there's no excuse for not hitting the target. And the way the weather's been at the Gabba lately, it's been absolutely beautiful. So if there's nothing to do with conditions, I think their main key they need to focus on is lowering their eyes and hitting targets, because that's something that they're very good at.
Yeah, see, I just have one worry with Geelong is the problem is because they do move the ball so slow, like they do that kick to mark game, which works for them. But the issue is like Richmond structure up so well. So if Geelong are got to do that sort of kick to mark, how's it got to work? Because if Richmond is structured up, how are they got to find that open target? I don't know if they're going to actually be able to. I'm not sure they're going to be able to kick enough goals by playing that game.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think both teams structure up very well defensively. So we hope it's not a defensive game, because we want to see plenty of goals kicked, but I feel like it will be a defensive game. So
yeah, I agree.
Well, it is moving into that time. We've actually covered everything, so that's amazing. Great job, guys.
Good job, boys.
It's a Herculean effort.
But we are getting
the reason
into
why
that
we don't
time
do 2
where
hours every week.
We are coming to that time where we absolutely love roasting the players for libraries. We love giving out X factors, and this week we've got a bit of extra. We got our tips and we got our Norm Smith winner. So let's hit in. I will write them down so we do not forget. Let's get a page ready. Who are our X factors for Richmond, and who are our X factors for Geelong? We'll start with one of our guests. Start with Liam. Who's your X factor for Geelong and X factor for Richmond?
My X factor. Well. X factor. Well, I think for the Tigers, you can go the obvious one. You can say Dusty's the X factor. You know, he's got the 2 normies. You know, questionable normies, but we won't go into it. But you know, he's obviously a big finals player, and then I think if Geelong want to cover him, they're going to have to put a lot of time and effort into him to nullify his impact. Yeah. I think someone for Richmond though who could be a bit of a left-right option could be a bit of maybe not like he's not like a full-on superstar, but he can have a chance to really blow the game over as a Shea Bolton type. I think that. He's had a really good year, and he's lifted in big games like the Dreamtime game, and I think it was last week or the week before he kicked 3 goals in a final. He could have a big game, and for Geelong, I think Paddy Dangerfield's going to have a big one. I reckon Paddy definitely needs to have 20-25 touches and kick a goal if the Cats are going to win, and I think that even if they lose, I think that he'll still have a big day. So. Danger's got to have a big day, and I think that the likes of Mitch Duncan, who was elite for the last few weeks, against the Pies especially, he was absolutely elite. His outside ball use was great. He needs to have a big one. And I also think Sam Menegola, absolutely snubbed by the umpires. 5 votes. Had him in a bet to get 3 votes in a round, put $50 on it, and got the 0 votes. And he had 26 touches and 2 goals. I think him and Duncan on the wings can really sort of terrify the Richmond wingmen.
Yep. Matty Jaleri, X factors.
Geelong X factor, Tom Hawkins. No, I'm just kidding. Geelong X factor. I don't want to be too mainstream here, but I just really liked what I saw from Gary Ablett. I probably harped on about it a fair bit tonight, but I just really, really liked what I saw from him in that prelim. So he's my X factor. Probably his last game, and yeah, I think he'll have a big one.
Yep.
Richmond, or I don't know. Like you want to say Dustin Martin, but it's an easy option. I want to do something a bit more substantial. I'm going to say Tom Lynch. I think Tom Lynch is going to have a huge game.
Yep. Nice. Chloe.
I don't know. I feel like I've fucked up all of my X factors so far, so I'm feeling a bit of pressure. But okay, so for Richmond, I'm also going to go a bit left field and say Toby Nankervis. So obviously,
I wrote him down. Oh, fuck.
Fuck you, Jess.
I rate that.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
do I. Like
Very good.
he has really stepped up. I think the last couple of weeks, especially, he's held his own against some pretty good ruckmen. So I think especially considering Richmond's style of play, centre clearances are going to be pretty important for them. So I think he's going to be Richmond, and for Geelong, I'm going to say Tui. He isn't the biggest in terms of numbers, but I feel like he's a really influential player. And last week, played a really great game. I feel like whenever he gets the ball, it's always safe in his hands, and he, just uses his ball use is just elite. Full stop. So they're my two.
Nice. Russ?
All right, Richmond, I'm going to say Jack Riewoldt. He hasn't been fantastic lately. He's just been a bit average. So, I think he needs to step up. So, I think he probably will on grand final day. I think he'll step up. Yep. And then the Catters, I'll go Joel Selwood. He's obviously got the fucked up finger. So, he needs to – hopefully he can push through it, and hopefully he can have a good game. I think he's done quite well the last couple of weeks with the finger. So, hopefully he can keep going.
Yep. Jez?
So for the Cats, I wrote down a lot of options and have been taken. So I'm going to say Cam Guthrie. I think if he kicks the ball well and uses the ball well, and if he's going to match up on Dusty, that could be a potential sort of game-winning matchup. So I've got Guthrie. And for the Tigers, left field again, Kane Lambert. I think he's a good player. He does well. They'll go all right.
Nice. And myself, going for big Dan Rioli.
Oh, no! Wow.
Rioli's on grand final day. We love him, so we're going Rioli. I'm going for Reece Stanley as well.
Fair enough. He's had a good fortnight or so.
Yeah, he has definitely had a good fortnight. He's actually had a really good final series. So, library. Now, this is a funny thing. We love the library, and we love players that go to the library. I reckon. Do we give one play for each, or whatever?
One for the whole game.
Just one play for the whole game. Who's going to the library? Let's start again. Go with Liam.
One librarian for the game.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, there's a few librarians that'll be taking the field on. But if I had to get the boss librarian, let me just go on the AFL app and let me just scroll to the bottom of the disposal count. That'll give me.
Nice.
Geez, if Chol was playing, he'd be the biggest librarian.
Yes. Very good.
Cholly, but geez, there's a lot of names coming of spring. I think against the odds, I reckon Marlon Pickett will actually have a good game. So I don't think he'll be the librarian.
Yeah.
I think someone like maybe a little bit of a out there option. I reckon what's his name? Nick Vlosten will be the librarian, I reckon.
Interesting.
He'll have a bad game in defence. That's my call.
Yeah, big call. We like it.
Big call. Matty G.
Tom Hawkins. Reasons aforementioned. Move on. He won't kick more than 2 goals.
Yep, fair call.
Watch the first 20 minutes for that.
Russ.
I mean, I have to say Gary Rowan. I know I said he was my X Factor last week, and he delivered for me, but I could not see him doing well in a grand final against Richmond.
Yep. Chloe?
I'm going to say Castagna again. He's kind of been in the library the whole final series. So, it seems like
Friend of the show, Castagna.
Friend of the show.
He actually is. I mean, we've got a couple of avenues down there.
Couple of connections there.
Yeah.
Yep. Jez?
Yeah, for the Tigers, I said bloody Dan Rioli. Get him a book. You can check out a bit of Harry Potter, all that sort of stuff. And for the Cats, I've got Big Haz Taylor and his
players. Where are we?
Potential last.
Fair enough.
I'm going, mate.
Fair enough.
My one,
All
Tom
the fun.
Lynch. Tom Lynch, you
Tom
go
Lynch
library.
is the librarian.
Oh.
Can't see that happening, to be honest, unfortunately. If he's the librarian, though, I'd be very happy with that.
If he's a librarian, Geelong's win this game quite easily.
Yeah.
Norm Smith tips.
Is this the Norm Smith and the tip in general? Who's winning?
No, go Norm Smith first, and then we'll do the tip last.
Okay, easy.
So go Liam again.
All right. For the Normie, look, something's telling me in my head, something's telling me that they're going to give it to Dusty, but just for the sentimental sort of aspect of it, I reckon that's what happened the first year in 2017.
Yeah.
He won the Brownlow. It's the best season of all time. Let's give him the Norm, even though Basher Hooley was best on. Anyways, I reckon for the Norm, if Geelong win, it's going to go to a Paddy Dangerfield, I reckon. And if the Tigers win, if I'm going to exclude Dusty Martin here, I reckon Basher Hooley's a chance.
Nice. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
You can say the same here. Obviously, the Norm is probably there's only probably a range of players that we probably reckon it would be. So, Matty G.
So, like, if Geelong win, I guess I did say my X factor was G Ablett, but whilst I see him being that X factor and probably that most dominant player, I don't see him winning the Norm Smith if Geelong get up. I see that as a Paddy Dangerfield or a Joel Selwood, but I'm going to put my hand up and say Paddy for Geelong. And I think Tom Lynch for Richmond, he's my X factor. I think he stands up. I think he kicks 3, 4, potentially 5 goals and wins the Norm Smith.
He'll be in the library after quarter time. Chloe?
Okay, so if the Tigers get up, I'm very similar to them. I thought Hawley got jibbed last year, so I'm going to say Hawley for the Norm Smith this year if the Tigers go over the line. For the Cats, I would, I have this niggling gut feeling that if the Cats win, it's going to go to Ablett because he's just going to play out of his socks. But I don't know if that would happen, so I would say Selwood.
We're busy taking people's heads off. They won't give it to him.
Nice. Yes, true, very true. Russ.
All right,
not
wrong.
wrong.
I want Richmond to win. I'm not picking a Richmond player, so I'm just going to say Geelong. And
I like that.
I'm going to say Mitch Duncan for the Cats.
Nice.
Duncan, we like that. We love that.
That's
Friend
a
of the show.
smoky. I enjoy that.
Let me just write in the Tigers column, fuck Tigers.
Yep, pretty much. Fuck Tigers.
Cheers.
So it all depends. Head or heart, I'm going for the Cats. And as much as I don't think G Ablett's going to win the Norm Smith, I'm just going to go for him. And I reckon it'd be awesome to see him win it. So we'll just go G Ablett. Good energies, good vibes. Bit in that, we reckon us. So G Ablett for Norm Smith.
You love to see it.
Yes.
Brad Hollis, we love.
Give
me someone to get on.
I'm going to say Geelong, and this is an interesting one because I reckon he'll go to Dusty. I'm going to go Cam Guthrie.
Right there.
I actually back that. I think he's had a tremendous final series.
Absolutely.
Tremendous year, yeah.
I think if he can shut Dusty out of the game, if he goes to get Dusty, but I feel like he would be the one that does. If he can shut Dusty out of the game and have a good game himself, I feel like he's winner. And just for the lols, Richmond, Rioli, Norm Smith. I love Rioli getting the Norm Smith, so just for the lols. And then to finish off the ep, we've got tips. So, Liam, who's winning and by how much?
Yeah, obviously we'll be barracking for Geelong, but theoretically, if I had to place the savings on it, which isn't very large due to COVID at the moment, but if I had to place the savings on it, I'd be putting Richmond to win by 23 points.
Who's next? Matty G.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go the other way. I was originally thinking Geelong by 13, but I think it'd be a bit closer than that. Geelong by 7.
Cats by 7. Chloe.
Look, as much as Richmond will probably theoretically win, I'm going to stick with the Cats winning, and I reckon it's going to be a nail biter to the end, so I'm going to say 2 points.
Raider. Yep. Russ.
Tigers by 31.
Whoa.
Whoa.
We're going to take the piss in the final quarter.
Not out of the question, honestly.
No, it's not, unfortunately.
I'm not feeling it for the Cats. I'm not feeling it. Everyone's pumping them up, but they played well against Collingwood, who had no energy, and Brisbane, who had stage fright. So it's a bit hard to read into them at the moment. So I think the Tigers will win quite convincingly.
Nice, Jez.
If the Cats win, it's not by much. So I've got the Cats, and I've got them by 4 points.
Nice. Just a left field one.
Here we go.
Cats to win by 5 points in overtime.
I rate the OT. Yeah.
And guys up at the end.
How's that looking with a nighttime game as well? Because obviously, it's getting a bit dark, you're getting tired. I think the fatigue from the day starts to hit you a little bit more. Then it'd be interesting seeing that game go to extra time.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. Good call. I heard a Liam got a cheeky multi there. What do you think?
Little segment here. Call me Brownie or Daisy Thomas. But I've got the
points bet.
Yeah, points bet special here now. Look, I'll show it here quickly to the screen. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not. The camera quality isn't great on the Lenovo, but it's the Ryan Myers to kick a goal, Jack Riewoldt to kick a goal, Paddy Dangerfield to have the 20 touches, and then Richmond at the line, and that's going to pay $10 for you. So I reckon that's pretty good value there.
I really like that.
Yeah, I like it too. So I'll be throwing that on the weekend.
Post it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll post it. It's on Sportsbet. Good odds at Sportsbet, but I'd also maybe have a suss on Wagropes. Might even stay a bit of better odds there. But there's your multi for the weekend, and as always, gamble responsibly.
On that.
Good editing.
We love that. We absolutely love that. Great segment, Liam.
Thank you, guys.
I wish I knew how to gamble responsibly. Alrighty, Jez, finish us off.
Oh boy, so it has been a long time.
Wrap us up.
Don't make it longer.
On the clock here. No, thank you, Liam and Maddie, for coming on the show. Really rated your guys' opinions and just brought a really awesome episode. So thank you, boys, for coming on and really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having us.
And also to our fans who have watched this show, we're going to be on during the off season. Don't you worry. So we're on during the off season. We're still talking footy, talking a bit of trade as well, and the trade period and what is going on there, and just random bits and bobs. But I also want to thank, obviously our fans, but also a couple of people through the show. Obviously, Beach, Russ, and Chloe, but also Beach and Russ. Basically, I love you guys. Doing well. Engine room of the body. So thanks, guys, and that's it. Enjoy the grand final. Go Cats.
But now you're